Hey friends, hope you're all doing well. We're doing okay too, just really tired since we've been working non-stop. We wanted to answer a question many of you ask: how does our publishing process work? Most of our audiobooks are first posted on Patreon as paid content. They stay behind a paywall for a few months. After that, they become free to access on Patreon forever. Then, a few weeks later, we upload them to other platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, X. Lately, our community hasn't been growing much, and we could really use your help. Please share our site in your Facebook groups, Discord servers, Reddit threads, Twitter, X, or with any friends who might be interested. Every little bit helps and we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for being with us and supporting what we do. The protagonist followed behind, forced to witness their affection. More than an hour passed. Zhu Hao glanced ahead and spotted a couple's hotel not far away. He suddenly stopped in his tracks and turned to Zhao Wanling. Wanling, since you treated me to dinner, I have a gift for you. A gift? Zhao Wanling's eyes lit up with delight. Uncle Zhu really understood girls. He even knew how to prepare surprises. But before I give it to you, let me show you a magic trick. Magic? Zhao Wanling's eyes sparkled with excitement. She still had the heart of a little girl. Just hearing the word gift thrilled her. And now, there was even a magic trick before the reveal. She was beyond eager. Of course, this was only because of her romantic feelings for Zhu Hao. If it were some random guy trying this, no matter how spectacular the surprise, she would still maintain her elegant, indifferent demeanor. Watch carefully, Zhu Hao said, stretching out a hand. See? Nothing in my palm. Zhao Wanling grabbed his hand and checked thoroughly before nodding, a puzzled expression on her face. Zhu Hao smiled slightly. With a flick of his wrist, he secretly retrieved a delicate gift box from his storage space. To prevent anyone from noticing the item appearing out of thin air, he smoothly transitioned the motion into a magician's sleight of hand. He would never expose the secret of his system. Not even the slightest risk of revealing it was acceptable. Wow! Zhao Wanling gasped in amazement, her face filled with astonishment. It was summer, and Zhu Hao wore short sleeves. She had just checked his hands and found nothing. So how did the box suddenly appear? Uncle Zhu was incredible. Not only did he know calligraphy, piano, and tea ceremonies, but he could even perform magic tricks? Her heart surged with admiration. Then, she eagerly examined the exquisitely wrapped gift box. Uncle, is this for me? Who else? Zhao Wanling happily took the box and quickly opened it. Inside, a delicate, beautifully crafted ring lay quietly in its case. The craftsmanship of the ring was impeccable, undoubtedly the work of a master artisan. The gemstone embedded in it emitted a soft glow, mesmerizing in its beauty. Zhao Wanling covered her mouth in disbelief. She was worth tens of millions, owned 10 properties, and barely made it into high society. She had a fair understanding of luxury goods. And this ring? This was Cartier's Supreme Edition, valued at over 18 million yuan. Oh my god, Uncle Zhu actually gave me such an expensive gift. She stared at Zhu Hao, completely stunned. Do you like it? Zhao Wanling dazedly nodded. Then, realizing the situation, she quickly spoke up. Uncle, this is too expensive. I can't accept it. I got it just for you, and you're telling me you won't accept it? That would really break my heart. It's not that I don't want it, it's just... it's too much. Zhao Wanling tried to explain, but Zhu Hao interrupted her. Give it to me. I'll put it on for you. Without thinking, she handed the ring to him. Zhu Hao took it, lifted her hand, and slid it onto her slender, jade-like finger. Her hands were already beautiful. Delicate and fair. With the ring on, an air of elegance and nobility surrounded her, making her look even more dignified. This was the ultimate ring trap. Now that it was on her finger, there was no way she could refuse. A wave of overwhelming emotion surged in Zhao Wanling's heart. Not because of the ring's value, but because Zhu Hao was willing to give her such a precious gift. It proved her importance in his eyes. That touched her more than anything else. Looking at Zhu Hao's warm smile, she could no longer suppress her emotions. She threw herself into his arms. Tilting her head up, she kissed him. Zhu Hao's eyes gleamed with amusement. Tonight was in the bag. Zhao Wanling was already a wealthy woman. If he had given her an ordinary gift, she would have been moved, but it wouldn't have had the same effect. This level of initiative from her was exactly what he wanted. If she was this eager now, she definitely wouldn't disappoint later. For him, spending a mere 10 or 20 million to win over a heroine was more than worth it. The kiss ended. Zhao Wanling's face was flushed red. She lowered her head, not daring to look at Zhu Hao. She wanted to dig a hole and crawl into it. Had she just acted too crazy? Too shameless? She had thrown herself at him like some desperate woman. Would Uncle Zhu think she was too easy? Ding. Zhao Wanling's heart races wildly. Emotional value plus 888, Wanling, let me take you somewhere. Zhao Wanling lifted her head, her eyes filled with curiosity. Where? She soon found out. Zhu Hao took her hand and led her toward a nearby couple's hotel. She could hear her own heartbeat. Nervous yet unresisting, she let Zhu Hao guide her forward. On the other side, Li Zhao snapped out of his daze. Seeing Zhu Hao take Zhao Wanling to a couple's hotel, he instantly realized what was about to happen. There was no time to wait for an opportunity to warn Zhao Wanling later. He had to act now. If he didn't step in, she would be completely taken by Zhu Hao. It would be too late for anything. He cursed himself for spacing out earlier. He should have stopped them right away. Watching Zhu Hao slip the ring onto Zhao Wanling's finger and then seeing her throw herself at him for a kiss, Li Zhao was completely dumbfounded. That was the heroine. A wealthy, elegant, and dignified woman. And just like that, she was gone? It felt like his soul had been crushed. He had assumed that as the protagonist, he didn't need to rush things with the heroine. He could take his time, grow stronger, and claim her later. But now, someone had stolen her right from under his nose. Li Zhao burned with fury. He immediately rushed forward, determined to tell Zhao Wanling the truth. He didn't care if he offended Zhu Hao. So what if he did? If Zhu Hao dared to retaliate, he would expose his dirty secret with sister-in-law Yao Zhenruai to Chu Zhuang. If Zhu Hao threatened Yao Zhenruai, he would threaten Zhu Hao in return. However, before he could take a few steps, he stopped in his tracks. A cold, expressionless woman blocked his way. Her presence alone sent a chill down his spine. He had seen her before. Zhu Hao's driver. But he hadn't expected her to be this strong. In the blink of an eye, Zhu Hao and Zhao Wanling had already disappeared into the hotel. With her standing in his way, there was no chance of following them. All he could do was rage in frustration. Chapter 94. Zhu Hao had already booked a room at the hotel. He took Zhao Wanling straight to the presidential suite. Everything fell into place naturally. Ding. Zhao Wanling is feeling anxious, emotional value plus 123, ding. Zhao Wanling's heart is racing, emotional value plus 456, ding. Zhao Wanling is overwhelmed with excitement, emotional value plus 789, outside Zhao Wanling's apartment. A figure stood motionless for a long time. After getting off work, Zheng Fan had been waiting at her door. He wanted to warn Zhao Wanling again about Zhu Hao's deceitful nature. But hours passed, and she never returned. A sinking feeling gripped his heart. He had been staying at Zhao Wanling's rental for quite some time and always kept an eye on his beautiful landlady's whereabouts. She was disciplined and never stayed out overnight. Even when she was with her best friend, Zhu Hongzwang, at the Zhu family's home, she always came back at night. But today, why hadn't she returned? As he waited in vain, a thought surfaced in his mind. Could it be that she and Zhu Hao? His heart clenched, as if something had been ripped away from him. Outside a couple's hotel, Li Zhao wanted to storm in and rescue Zhao Wanling. But Bei Ling blocked his way, watching him coldly. He didn't dare to act rashly. Time ticked away. An hour had already passed. Li Zhao let out a defeated sigh, swallowed his sorrow, and turned away. So much time had passed. Who knew how many positions had been unlocked? There was no point in going to Zhao Wanling now. Besides, that woman outside was guarding the place. Even if he waited until morning, he wouldn't be able to step inside the hotel. Might as well go home and get some rest. He'd find another opportunity later. After all, the heroine was the heroine. Stunningly beautiful, with a flawless figure and an irresistible aura. It didn't matter if she had lost her innocence. Even if someone had to be the fallback guy, there were countless men willing to step up. At home. When Li Zhao returned, his family was still awake, watching TV on the sofa. Seeing him enter, they ignored him completely, not even greeting him. They were too disappointed in him. Li Zhao understood. His past self had been a complete failure. Even though the wealthy businessman Chu Zhuang had taken a liking to him, he never mentioned it to his family. It didn't matter. Once he earned his first pot of gold and used his knowledge to build a business, his family would see him differently. Just then, he focused his gaze, his ears twitching slightly. His mother's curious voice broke the silence. Yunshu, what's making you so happy? You've been smiling non-stop since you got back. His father also turned to look at his sister. Although they had been thrilled when she joined the Zoo Corporation, she had never been this overjoyed before. Since it involved his beautiful and gentle sister, Li Zhao perked up his ears. Noticing her mother's keen observation, Li Yunshu froze for a moment. After thinking it over, she realized it wasn't anything that needed to be kept secret. This morning, on my way to work, a classmate tried to bully me. But our CEO, Zhu, showed up and saved me. She excitedly recounted the incident. In the past, She had always endured such things alone, never telling her parents. She didn't want to worry them. But now, things were different. With Uncle Zhu's warning, Zhu Fengfei had already apologized and promised never to trouble her again. There was no longer any reason to hide it. Upon hearing that their daughter had been bullied, Li father and Li mother's expressions darkened. Their faces filled with anger. That malicious girl had tried to slap their daughter. Their hearts clenched in fear. Li mother immediately sat beside Yunshu, carefully checking her for any injuries. Only after confirming that she was unharmed did she finally breathe a sigh of relief. Then, hearing how Zhu Hao had stepped in at the last moment, saved their daughter, forced that girl to apologize, and ensured she would never bully Yunshu again. Li father and Li mother were overwhelmed with gratitude. President Zhu is really as kind-hearted as they say. Yunshu, you must properly thank him. If he hadn't shown up in time, I don't even want to imagine the consequences. That girl was too vicious. Thank goodness for President Zhu's warning. She wouldn't dare bully you again. They praised Zhu Hao and condemned Zhu Fengfei. Then, Li Yunshu mentioned something that left them both stunned. What? Yunshu, you actually got President Zhu's personal contact info? And he told you to call him if anyone bullies you again? He even said you could call him Uncle Zhu in private? President Zhu is such a good person. Yunshu, he's so kind to you. Make sure you work hard and live up to his expectations. If President Zhu says so, then just go with it. Calling him uncle will bring you closer. Maybe one day, invite him over for dinner so we can properly thank him. Li Yunshu nodded quietly. She didn't need her parents to remind her. She was already determined to work hard and not let Uncle Zhu down. Standing nearby, Li Zhao's face darkened. The more he listened, the more wrong it felt. If he thought about it carefully. Wasn't this just a classic hero saving the beauty routine? His sister just so happened to get cornered on her way to work. And Zhu Hao just so happened to appear at the perfect moment to rescue her. Too coincidental. If it were anyone else, he wouldn't have been so suspicious. But Zhu Hao? That man was too fake, too scheming. Li Zhao had no doubt that Zhu Hao had orchestrated the entire thing. Looking at his grateful parents and his awestruck sister, he realized Zhu Hao's plan had worked perfectly. Step 1. Rescue the damsel in distress and gain her gratitude. Step 2. Increase contact and build trust. Step 3. Eventually make her his. Suddenly, Li Zhao remembered how Zhu Hao had seduced their stunning landlady, Zhao Wanling. Right now, that same Zhu Hao was in a couple's hotel with Zhao Wanling. Gradually, in his mind, Zhao Wanling's figure morphed into that of his sister, Li Yunshu. A chill ran down his spine. No way. This must not be allowed to happen. There was no more space on the sofa, so he pulled up a chair, sat down, and cleared his throat. Don't you think it's too much of a coincidence? Hearing Li Zhao's untimely remark, everyone turned to look at him. Zhao, what do you mean by that? Father Li frowned. Think about it. Why did Zhu Hao appear at that exact moment? Why not earlier or later, but right when my sister was in danger? Li Zhao started to guide them step by step. His family firmly believed in Zhu Hao's good guy persona. He could only try to subtly change their perception of him. Mother Li was immediately displeased. Zhao, what are you trying to say? Should he have waited until your sister was actually in danger before showing up? Would that have made more sense to you? Father Li's expression darkened. Li Yunshu's face was even colder. Last time, this brainless little brother had already doubted Uncle Zhu's intentions. Now, he was outright accusing him of scheming something. Did he have paranoia or something? She never cared much about this brother, even when he used to hang out with delinquents. Their relationship was distant, so she didn't bother with him. But now, even her good temper was running out. She looked at Li Zhao with ice-cold eyes. That's not what I meant, Li Zhao quickly denied. Of course, he didn't want anything bad to happen to his sister. He continued, I have a theory. What if everything my sister went through today was staged? Li Yunshu scoffed instead of getting angry. Are you seriously suggesting that the danger I faced was set up by Uncle Zhu? That he deliberately waited to rescue me at the perfect moment? Father and Mother Li sensed the shift in her tone. She was truly angry now. Immediately, they scolded their disappointing son. Li Zhao, how can you say that about President Zhu? He has been nothing but good to your sister. Mother Li was clearly upset. You little brat, hanging out with those lowlifes has made you stupid, hasn't it? Starting today, you're getting a proper job. If I catch you fooling around outside again, I'll break your legs. Father Li was so furious he wanted to hit him. This son of his had no skills, no ambition. Just a street punk. Their daughter, on the other hand, had secured a good job with a boss who valued her. The whole family was happy for her. Yet here was their useless son, stirring up trouble, spouting nonsense, and being paranoid. Seeing his parents' strong reaction, Li Zhao was speechless. Clearly, changing their minds about Zhu Hao was going to be a long, uphill battle. He rubbed his nose, shrugged, and forced a bitter smile. I never said that. But his expression and tone betrayed his true thoughts. Li Yunshu spoke again, her gaze cold. By the way, about my interview day. I wasn't the only one interviewing. There was someone else there. That person had colluded with the interviewer to eliminate me from the selection. And at that exact moment, Uncle Zhu showed up, exposed their scheme, kicked my competitor out, and stood up for me. If your logic is right, then that was stage 2, wasn't it? Li Zhao frowned deeply, his mind racing. Zhu Hao was nothing but a scumbag. He already had a wife and a daughter. His daughter was practically an adult. Yet he still chased after other women. A total predator. From Zhu Hao's perspective, a beautiful woman suddenly applied for a job at his company. Setting up an accident to swoop in and win her gratitude sounded entirely possible. So, he nodded at his sister. Based on what you said, it's very likely. Zhu Hao is a sleazy bag who deliberately made you feel indebted to him so he could take advantage of you later. Shut up. Li Yunshu couldn't listen anymore and cut him off coldly. Then explain this, after saving me, Uncle Zhu didn't just fire my competitor. He also fired the interviewer and demoted the HR director to deputy director as punishment. Father and Mother Li were stunned. Truth be told, after hearing Li Zhao's theory, they had started to feel a tiny bit of doubt toward Zhu Hao. But after hearing their daughter's explanation, that doubt vanished completely. Firing an interviewer and demoting a high-level executive. Just to put on an act for one girl? They admitted their daughter was beautiful, but there were plenty of beautiful women in the world. Zhu Hao, with his billions in assets, had access to far more stunning women. His reputation was impeccable. He had only ever had one wife, and even his secretary was a man. People called him the most devoted man in the industry. Besides, Zhu Hao had to be at least 50, right? Their daughter was only in her 20s. A man like Zhu Hao would never be interested in their daughter. What Li Zhao was suggesting was pure nonsense. This. Li Zhao hesitated. Even he had to admit that firing employees and demoting executives just to stage a fake rescue would be ridiculous. What he didn't realize was that, given the right incentives, Zhu Hao really would do something like that. As long as it helped him win over a female lead, the consequences for others didn't matter. Li Zhao quickly changed the topic. Even if that was a coincidence, what happened this morning was definitely suspicious. You were just on your way to work, and someone suddenly came to harass you. And then Zhu Hao just happened to show up and save you? Hey. Li Yunshu sneered. There's one detail I might not have made clear. The girl who harassed me this morning was actually my classmate. Back in school, she used to constantly pick on me, spread rumors, and suppress me in every way possible. The same girl was my competitor in the interview. She thought I stole her job, so she retaliated against me. Still think it was a setup. Hearing this, Father and Mother Li's faces darkened. So their daughter's bully was an old classmate. Had she suffered violence in school? Mother Li quickly checked her daughter for any signs of injury. Luckily, there were none. She couldn't help but scold her daughter for not telling them about the bullying sooner. Mom, Dad, don't worry. Uncle Zhu has already warned her. She won't dare bother me again. That's good, that's very good. The elderly couple once again felt deep gratitude toward Zhu Hao. Meanwhile, Li Zhao was still replaying everything his sister had said in his mind. The explanation made sense. It logically connected all the pieces. Everything checked out. But Li Zhao still felt something was off. He racked his brain until a thought suddenly struck him. His eyes lit up, and he abruptly looked at Li Yunshu. Sis, do you think it's possible that Zhu Hao and that girl were working together? That everything was just an act to deceive you? Don't call me sis. It sounds disgusting to me. Li Yunshu had always been a patient person. Even when Zhu Fengfei bullied her in school, she never complained. But this time, Li Zhao's words had crossed the line. Doubting and accusing the man who saved her life? She found it repulsive. Sure, what Li Zhao suggested wasn't entirely impossible. But she was self-aware. She was just an ordinary girl. Why would a billionaire like Uncle Zhu go through all that trouble for someone like her? She didn't bother looking at Li Zhao's dumbfounded expression any longer. Turning around, she walked into her bedroom and slammed the door shut. Click. Locked. Father and Mother Li took the opportunity to lecture their useless son again. Meanwhile, Zhao Wanling slept until the afternoon. She opened her eyes drowsily, feeling groggy and disoriented. She remembered how, when she used to hang out with a few of the Zhu family sisters, they always talked about how powerful Zhu Hao was. They also mentioned how their stepmother's voice was unbelievably seductive. Back then, Zhao Wanling didn't believe it. Suwankyu always appeared dignified and elegant, maintaining the image of a loving mother in front of her daughters. But if she knew they were home, why didn't she cover her mouth? Now, Zhao Wanling finally understood Suwankyu's helplessness. She couldn't take it. Not at all. Not even a little. As her blurry vision focused, she suddenly realized. Zhu Hao was watching her with an amused expression. Zhao Wanling's face instantly turned red. She instinctively wanted to hide, but a firm hand grabbed her and pulled her out. Chapter 95. After reaping a significant harvest, Zhu Hao checked his recent gains while Zhao Wanling slept soundly. His emotion points had skyrocketed to 130,000. No need to wait. Time to roll the lottery. Even though Bei Ling, his personal bodyguard, ensured his safety and the protagonist couldn't do much to him, it still wasn't absolute security. Zhu Hao wanted complete control. Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, +1 luck. He had never seen this attribute on his stats panel before. What was its use? Improved fortune? Well, let's hope it works. He wasn't asking for much. Just a few more female leads. Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, +9 free attribute points. Nice. 9 points were quite a lot. Was this the effect of +1 luck? Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, item. 10 sets of QQ lace lingerie. Zhu Hao stared at the 10 delicate lace outfits in his hands, lost in thought. Honestly, last night was a bit monotonous. He had been considering trying something fresh. And now, he got exactly what he wanted? Was this luck? A useful reward. But please, don't send it again next time. Did the system think he didn't know where to buy these? Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, character. Peak Mingjin Assassin, 1, swish. Zhu Hao's eyes gleamed. A Peak Mingjin Assassin had appeared. Excellent. Another powerful fighter under his command. His security just went up another level. Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, +8 free attribute points, not bad. Keep going. Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, item. 10 Zisui pills. Zhu Hao's eyes lit up. Zisui pills were premium stuff. They could cleanse the body, remove impurities, and even enhance attractiveness. He had already used one before and couldn't take another, but his women could. They become even more beautiful, which meant better experiences for him. Nice. Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, character. Late Mingjin Assassins, 2, good, good, good. The more, the merrier. Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, skill. Assassination, master level. As the system's voice fell, a surge of memories flooded Zhu Hao's mind. Techniques for stealth, concealment, and silent killings filled his brain. Even knowledge on disguising murders as accidents so no one could trace them. Zhu Hao's eyebrows twitched. This was a great skill. Not that he needed to assassinate anyone. He had people for that. But the stealth and escape techniques were valuable. If he ever encountered a strong protagonist he couldn't defeat, he could just slip away. Another insurance policy for his life. The only downside was that it was master level. It'd be better if it were god level or at least grandmaster level. Then, a thought struck him. He checked his inventory again and, as expected, found a grandmaster skill upgrade card. Perfect timing. Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, character. Early Mingjin Assassins, 10, impressive. 10 at once. With the assassins he had already drawn, he now had enough to start forming his own intelligence network. Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, +8 free attribute points. This lottery session was profitable. Every attribute reward had been at least 8 points. Keeping up this streak was crucial. Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, item. Limited edition Maybach, currently parked in the host's home garage. Zhu Hao looked at the miniature model of the luxurious, yet subtly elegant car. It suited his style. But come on, did the system think he couldn't buy one himself? What a waste of a reward slot. Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, character. Mid-Mingjin Assassins, 5, perfect? His assassins were getting stronger. Time to upgrade the security detail around his daughters. Ding. Congratulations. You won the reward, skill. 108 demon subduing staff techniques, What? Zhu Hao reviewed the newly acquired knowledge in his mind, his expression turning. Strange. The name alone sounded shady. And sure enough, the skill itself was just as inappropriate. He had considered himself well versed in various techniques, but it turned out there were many more positions left to unlock. Truly, an eye-opening experience. Still, it was better than a box of directs. Aside from a few rebellious women, this technique was bound to be useful. Lottery complete. Now it was time to allocate the attribute points. This time, he had gained a total of 25 free attribute points. Zhu Hao fell into deep thought. If he dumped all of them into strength, he might reach the Dark Jin level. But without matching endurance, he wouldn't be able to fully utilize his power. After some deliberation, he decided to balance his stats. Plus 10 strength, plus 10 endurance, plus 5 spirit, a perfect upgrade. A familiar warmth surged through his body. Next, Zhu Hao directly used the Grandmaster skill upgrade card on his newly acquired assassination skill, raising it to the Grandmaster level. With everything settled, his eyes gleamed as he checked his stats. Character, Zhu Hao. Identity, Controller of the Zhu Corporation. Charm, 93. Strength, 90. Constitution, 56. Spirit, 40. Skills, Close Combat, Grandmaster, Painting, Grandmaster, Calligraphy, God level, Piano, Grandmaster, Music, Master, Art, God level, Firearms, Master, 18. Martial Arts, Grandmaster, Assassination, Grandmaster, Items, Desert Eagle, Tenzisue Pills, Small Leather Whip, Special Abilities, Portable Space, 1 cubic meter, Teleportation, Overwhelming Dominance, Emotion Points, 2,893, Free Attribute Points, 0, after an active night, hunger set in. Zhu Hao ordered food from the hotel. He woke Zhao Wanling up. To eat, of course. Naturally, a few unexpected events unfolded during the meal. An hour later, both of them left the hotel. Zhu Hao received a call and had to go to the company, so Zhao Wanling had to return home alone. No big deal. He had assigned elite assassins to watch over her. Before heading to the company, Zhu Hao went to inspect his newly acquired assassins. Greetings, Master. More than a dozen women knelt before him. Their expressions were cold, their presence exuding an aura of ruthless killers. A surge of ambition rose in Zhu Hao's heart. The entire magic city felt like it was beneath his feet. If he kept growing stronger, one day, he would conquer the entire world. But he quickly calmed himself. He was far from strong enough. Not to mention the invincible rebellious son he'd have to face in 2.5 years. Even the protagonists he'd encountered so far were not easy to deal with. He couldn't afford to get arrogant. Steady development was the key. Rise. After dismissing the assassins, he left the arrangements to Bei Ling, his personal bodyguard. Then, Bei Ling drove him to the company. Meanwhile, Zhao Wanling drove home. Her silver BMW pulled up to her house, only for her to spot a figure resembling a beggar at the entrance. Who else could it be but Zheng Fan? Last night, Zheng Fan had waited outside for Zhao Wanling to return. When she didn't come home, he refused to leave, even skipping work, waiting all night. And just like that, he waited until the afternoon. Exhausted from lack of sleep, his eyes were sunken with dark circles, his skin dull and loose. Coupled with his ragged clothes, he was indistinguishable from a street beggar. Zhao Wanling parked her car and stepped out. A sharp sting made her frown as she moved cautiously toward the door. Zheng Fan's eyes lit up the moment he saw her, rushing forward. But then, he noticed her slow, delicate movements and the lingering allure in her expression. He froze on the spot, as if struck by lightning. A storm raged in his mind. His worst fears had come true. She had spent the entire night with a man. And who else could it be but Zhu Hao? An unbearable pain crushed his chest. Why was she so careless with herself? How could she give herself to such a ruthless, deceitful scoundrel? If she didn't know about Zhu Hao's true nature, he could understand. But he had already warned her about him. Zhao Wanling finally noticed Zheng Fan by the door and frowned. Without acknowledging him, she walked past him. Zheng Fan couldn't hold back any longer. He blocked her path, his bloodshot eyes filled with desperation. Wanling, where were you last night? Why didn't you come home? How is it any of your business? Her words were a sledgehammer to his heart. His chest tightened, and he let out a bitter laugh. I was just worried about you. Afraid you'd be deceived by some bad guy. His insinuation was clear. Zhao Wanling's expression turned cold. You're the bad guy. Your whole family are bad guys. She had no idea why Uncle Zhu tolerated this guy, but she sure wouldn't. Zheng Fan didn't argue and carefully asked, Wanling, were you with Zhu Hao last night? I told you before. He's a fraud. Fraud? Zhao Wanling glanced at him sideways. Zhu Hao didn't seem fake at all. If anything, he was incredibly strong. She had stayed at Zhu's house for so many days. Did he really think she couldn't tell what kind of person Zhu Hao was? Whether it was toward her or his daughters, Zhu Hao was genuine. Isn't he? Zheng Fan's frustration grew. Look at you. He doesn't even have the slightest pity for you. You can barely walk, and he still left you alone. Zhao Wanling paused for a moment. Thinking back to last night. Yeah, Zhu Hao really didn't go easy on her. The entire night. Did Shang Fan have any idea what she had been through? As for why Zhu Hao didn't accompany her home, it was understandable. He received an urgent call from his company and had to handle an issue. But he did promise to visit her tonight. Just imagining being with Zhu Hao again made her smile. Shang Fan saw that smile and felt crushed. Unwilling to give up, he asked, "How could he treat you like this? You two have such a huge age gap. Did he force you?" Seeing how relentless he was, Zhao Wanling lost her patience. "Are you done yet?" She crossed her arms. "Didn't you already suspect my relationship with Uncle Zhu? I'm with Uncle Zhu, and he didn't force me, threaten me, or deceive me. I chose to be with him of my own free will," Zhao Wanling stated firmly. "I was the one who took the initiative last night too. Satisfied now?" Boom. Zhang Fan felt as if lightning had struck him out of nowhere. His last sliver of hope shattered. Zhao Wanling had indeed spent the night with Zhu Hao, and not just that. She had willingly thrown herself at him. Unbelievable. The elegant, gentle, and refined bland lady he had admired had willingly clung to an old man. Zhao Wanling arched her brows. Seeing Zhang Fan looking so devastated, as if they had some deep connection, infuriated her even more. "Uncle Zhu is nothing like what you claim. If you dare slander him again, don't blame me for getting rough," she warned. She was unwavering. If he said another bad word about Zhu Hao, she'd probably kick him right then and there. Zhang Fan felt powerless. Zhao Wanling's trust in Zhu Hao was unwavering. Without solid proof, nothing he said would change her mind. A glint of determination flashed in Zhang Fan's eyes. He had to find evidence of Zhu Hao's crimes as soon as possible. Just like when he took down Zhao Media, he would destroy Zhu Corporation. He refused to believe that a man who had built such a massive empire hadn't engaged in illegal dealings. Taking a deep breath, he spoke with resolve. "Wanling, I know you won't believe me now. But just wait. I will find the proof to expose Zhu Hao's true nature." With that, he turned to leave, suppressing the pain in his heart. "Wait." Zhao Wanling's voice stopped him. Hope flickered in Zhang Fan's eyes. Had she finally come to her senses? He turned back quickly, only to hear her next words, ice cold and devoid of emotion. "You have 3 days to clean up and move out. I'll consider the time you spent here as charity. Now get lost. I don't want to see you again." She had originally rented the place to him out of goodwill, not even bothering to draft a contract. Later, when he stopped paying rent, she had been too lazy to press him for it. But now, after he dared to slander Uncle Zhu, she had no tolerance left. The ring Uncle Zhu gave her, the night they spent together. She couldn't forget any of it. She was completely enamored with him. No one could slander him. Especially not her own tenant. She wanted nothing more than to kick Zhang Fan out immediately. Seeing Zhao Wanling's serious expression, Zhang Fan panicked. She really intended to kick him out. "Wanling, isn't this a bit extreme? I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm informing you," she said coldly. "Wanling, I was wrong. I shouldn't have skipped rent. I'll pay it all now, okay? Hey. Do you think I care about your rent? I don't need it. I just want you gone. Wanling, please. I'll pay double. No, 10 times the rent. 100 times." Zhang Fan pleaded. He didn't want to leave. Being able to see such a beautiful woman every day was a blessing. And who knew what that scumbag Zhu Hao would do to her? He had to stay and protect her. He wasn't giving up on Zhao Wanling, even if she had already been taken. But she had no patience left. "I'll come back for the house in 3 days. If you're still here, I'll call the police." Click. She opened the door. And as she shut it behind her, she left him with one final, ruthless remark. Chapter 96. Zhang Fan returned home in a daze. He cooked himself a meal, took a shower, and by the time he stepped out, it was already dusk. Stepping onto the balcony, he planned to take one last look at Zhao Wanling's house in the distance before catching up on some sleep. With his physique, staying awake for a day and night wasn't an issue. But the mental exhaustion was overwhelming. The torment of waiting for Zhao Wanling to return gnawed at him. However, just as he looked over, his entire body tensed. He saw Zhao Wanling standing at the entrance, waiting for someone. Not long after, a car slowly pulled up. As Zhu Hao stepped out, she immediately ran to him and threw herself into his arms. "Zhu Hao." Zhang Fan gritted his teeth, uttering the name with pure venom. His fingers clenched into a fist so tightly that his nails dug into his palm, yet he didn't even notice. Ding. Zhang Fan is seething with rage. Emotional value plus 839, Zhu Hao, noticing the system notification, felt an intense gaze of hatred lock onto him. What a coincidence. He had just exhausted his emotional value, and now the protagonist had delivered himself right to his doorstep. Zhu Hao's lips curled into a faint smirk. He patted the softest part of Zhao Wanling's body. "Did you miss me, baby?" Zhao Wanling let out a soft whimper and quickly pulled away from him. She glanced around nervously. Once she confirmed no one was around, she let out a sigh of relief. With a flirtatious pout, she rolled her eyes at Zhu Hao. "Uncle Zhu, you're so annoying. You have no pity at all. I'm still sore, you know. My bad, my bad. Does it still hurt? Here. Let me rub it for you." Zhu Hao grinned as he reached out for her. Zhao Wanling quickly stepped back. "Don't come any closer." "I won't, but only if you tell me. Did you miss me?" Zhu Hao's eyes gleamed with amusement. Zhao Wanling hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, I missed you. Happy now? I've been thinking about you ever since I got back." She caved in almost instantly, speaking her true feelings. But Zhu Hao wasn't satisfied just yet. "Then tell me. What exactly did you miss about me?" The two continued their playful teasing as they stepped into Zhao Wanling's house, leaving Zhang Fan trembling in powerless fury in the distance. Ding. Zhang Fan is consumed by hatred. Emotional value plus 986. Inside the house, the richer aroma of food filled the air. Zhao Wanling, knowing Zhu Hao would come, had dragged her injured body to the kitchen and prepared dinner for him. This wealthy young lady was just as capable in the kitchen as she was in high society. "Uncle, I made this myself. I don't know if you'll like it," Zhao Wanling said nervously, watching Zhu Hao with hopeful eyes. "How could I not like something you made?" Zhu Hao replied with a chuckle. "Uncle Zhu, stop trying to comfort me. Just taste it first." Zhao Wanling led him to the table, serving him rice, picking out the best dishes for him, and even ladling a bowl of chicken soup. They say, after strenuous activity, one needs to replenish their strength. But looking at Zhu Hao, full of energy and vigor, he was hardly the one in need of nourishment. If anything, she was. Zhu Hao took a sip of the soup. Not bad. About the same level as his daughter's cooking. As he drank, Zhao Wanling stared at him intently, her eyes brimming with anticipation. Not wanting to disappoint her, he praised her cooking. Hearing his approval, Zhao Wanling beamed with joy. "I'm so glad you like it, Uncle Zhu. Here, have some more." She eagerly refilled his bowl, piling food onto his plate. Watching him eat everything she served made her heart swell with pride and satisfaction. After finishing their warm meal, they shared a tender moment together. Then, it was time for bed. Zhao Wanling's bedroom had a refined, elegant aesthetic. A bookshelf lined with books. A tea set arranged neatly on a small table. A space that reflected someone who truly knew how to enjoy a life. As she and Zhu Hao stepped inside and shut the door, Zhao Wanling's heart pounded with anxiety. She couldn't help but worry. If tonight was anything like last night, she wouldn't be able to handle it. She watched as Zhu Hao surveyed her bedroom before his gaze landed on her. A shiver ran down her spine. "Uncle, I haven't recovered yet. Can you please let me off just this once?" she pleaded, her voice trembling. Zhu Hao, noticing her awkward stance, smirked. Looks like he had gone too hard on her last night. He had been careless, and before he knew it, dawn had arrived. Seeing her nervous expression amused him. But it was no big deal. He had just won a body-cleansing pill in a lottery. One pill, and she'd be back to full health. He had planned to give it to her back at the hotel this afternoon. But at the time, she looked so delicate, frowning slightly in pain, exuding a different kind of charm. He decided then. She needed to experience it fully. After all, it was a rite of passage for every woman. Now that she had, it was time to move on. With a flick of his wrist, a pill appeared in his palm. He held it out to her. "Take this." Zhao Wanling eyed the small pill, its faint medicinal fragrance wafting through the air. Curious, she asked, "Uncle, what is this?" "It'll restore you to peak condition." A blush spread across her face. So unless she took this, Uncle Zhu wouldn't let her off tonight? Zhao Wanling felt a mix of fear and secret delight. Wasn't this proof of her own irresistible charm? Curious, she wondered. Could this pill really be that miraculous? Her entire body ached, and even walking made her wince. Could a tiny pill truly heal her? Despite her doubts, she trusted Zhu Hao. She took the pill without hesitation and swallowed it. The moment it touched her tongue, it dissolved instantly, transforming into a warm current that surged through her body, reaching every inch of her being. A soothing warmth enveloped her, making her feel as if she were floating. It was almost as wonderful as being with Uncle Zhu. Just as she was sinking into the sensation, Zhu Hao's voice broke the spell. "Aren't you going to wash up?" She froze. That was when she noticed the sticky sensation all over her body. Lowering her gaze, she saw a layer of grime seeping from her once flawless, fair skin. A pungent odor accompanied it. Letting out a startled cry, she spun around and dashed into the bathroom. Bang! She slammed the door shut. The thought of Zhu Hao seeing her in such an unsightly state made her want to disappear. She stayed in the bathroom for over half an hour, scrubbing herself clean. Only when she was thoroughly refreshed did she finally stop. Glancing at the mirror, she was stunned. Her skin looked even fairer, smoother, and carried a soft, radiant glow. Her long hair had turned silkier and shinier, enhancing her overall charm. But most importantly, she no longer felt any pain. This is incredible. Zhao Wanling's face lit up with joy. She dashed out of the bathroom, eager to share the news with Zhu Hao. Seeing her newfound radiance, Zhu Hao couldn't help but be impressed. The body cleansing pill truly lived up to its reputation, transforming someone from the inside out. Zhao Wanling remained mesmerized by her reflection, turning side to side, admiring the changes. Zhu Hao was pleased as well. A more beautiful heroine meant an even better experience for him. Just thinking about it, this goddess in the eyes of others, kneeling before him, filled him with satisfaction. Meanwhile, in a nearby rental apartment, under the shroud of night, a pair of bloodshot eyes flickered ominously. Zheng Fan hadn't slept for 2 days and nights. He originally planned to get some rest, but spotting Zhu Hao at Zhao Wanling's doorstep changed everything. He snapped to full alertness. He refused to sleep until Zhu Hao left. So, he kept his eyes locked on the house, watching and waiting. Time crawled by. He saw the lights in Zhao Wanling's living room go out. Moments later, the bedroom light flickered on. The angle and distance prevented him from seeing inside, but he could still see that glow. Fine. Before, he refused to sleep as long as Zhu Hao was inside. Now, he wouldn't rest until the light went out. An entire night passed. Only when the first rays of dawn broke the horizon did the bedroom light finally switch off. 2 days and nights without sleep left Zheng Fan's eyes bloodshot and wild. His face twisted in fury, his expression grotesque. His fists clenched so tightly that his nails dug deep into his palms, drawing blood. A whole night. An entire night. Like a goddamn beast. His mind flashed to Zhao Wanling yesterday afternoon. How exhausted and delicate she looked. Yet Zhu Hao had still come back. Absolutely deranged. She was his goddess. The woman he adored, cherished, and would protect with his life. Zhu Hao, on the other hand, showed her no mercy, treating her like nothing more than a plaything. It hurt. It hurt too much. The crisp morning air carried a slight chill, but Zheng Fan felt none of it. A raging fire burned inside him. Beyond his hatred and resentment for Zhu Hao, an even greater frustration churned within him. Why did Zhao Wanling keep running into his arms? Why did she throw herself at a man who only wanted her body, who tormented her? He had always acted in her best interest. Yet she rejected him, even kicking him out of her house. The sheer unfairness of it all nearly suffocated him. Ding. Zheng Fan is furious. Emotional value plus 321, ding. Zheng Fan is on the verge of madness. Emotional value plus 654, ding. Zheng Fan's mindset collapses. Emotional value plus 987. That afternoon, the sun shone brightly, and the breeze carried a refreshing warmth. Brother Li, come with me to negotiate a deal today. I'll introduce you to my goddess. She's the legendary Ice Queen of Magic City. Chu Ziotian threw an arm around Li Zhao's shoulders, her face brimming with excitement at the thought of meeting her idol. Li Zhao played along with a polite smile, but deep down, he had his doubts. What cooperation? It was nothing more than Chu Ziotian's wishful thinking. He called it a business deal, but who didn't know his real intentions? The moment he laid eyes on Lin Chuking, he was completely infatuated, trying all sorts of grand gestures to confess his love. But every single time, she rejected him without hesitation. Yet, Chu Ziotian refused to give up. This time, he came up with a so-called business partnership, hoping to use it as an excuse to get close to Lin Chuking. Li Zhao recognized this as a major plot event. The antagonist, Chu Ziotian, would propose a deal, only to be rejected. Then, the security guard of Sunny Electronics, none other than the protagonist, Zheng Fan, would beat him to a pulp. Seeing his son get brutally beaten, Chu Ziotian's father, Chu Zhuang, would be furious. Immediately, he would mobilize the Chu family's vast resources to launch a commercial attack on Lin Chuking's company. With the influence of their $100 billion empire, many of Lin Chuking's business partners would sever ties with her. Suddenly, she would find herself cornered on all sides. Just when she had nowhere left to turn, the protagonist, Zheng Fan, would coincidentally reconnect with a powerful figure from the underground world. Someone he once saved. Through that connection, he would break the Chu family's blockade and rescue Lin Chuking's company. From then on, her perception of him would change completely. Li Zhao debated whether to follow the script or alter the course of events. He could try to persuade Chu Ziotian not to approach Lin Chuking, preventing the conflict with the protagonist altogether. By avoiding the heroine, they wouldn't become enemies, allowing him to lay low and develop at his own pace. But after some thought, he decided against it. Tampering with the plot might lead to unpredictable consequences. Li Zhao disliked losing control. According to the storyline, Lin Shuking would suffer under the Chu family's pressure. But since he knew how to lift that pressure, he could offer Lin Shuking a solution and gain her favor. Meanwhile, the protagonist would make an enemy of the Chu family, creating an intense rivalry. That sense of urgency would push Li Zhao to grow stronger faster. His sister, Li Yunshu, had already caught Zhu Hao's attention. If he didn't improve quickly, who knew when she'd end up just like Zhao Wanling? Falling into Zhu Hao's grasp? He needed that pressure to drive his progress. Clenching his teeth, he made his decision. To follow the script. After all, it was Chu Ziyoshin who would get beaten up, not him. Nothing to worry about. With that, Li Zhao drove Chu Ziyoshin to Sunny Electronics. As expected, the security guards blocked their way. "Do you know who I am? How dare you stop me?" Chu Ziyoshin pointed at one of the guards, his tone arrogant. "Of course, we know who you are, young Master Chu, and we would never dare to stop you," one guard responded with a forced smile. "But this is a direct order from our president. We have no choice. Please understand." Chu Ziyoshin waved dismissively. "Enough. Just inform your president that I'm here for a business discussion. Young Master Chu, please don't make things difficult for us." The guards exchanged awkward glances. They had dealt with countless rich playboys trying to meet their boss, each with a different excuse. They had been strictly warned. If they let any of them in, they'd be fired on the spot. "What? You don't understand what our young Master Chu just said?" Li Zhao stepped forward, pointing at the guards with a commanding air. "When he tells you to inform your president, you do it. Why are you still talking? What? You fear your boss but not our young Master Chu?" Li Zhao sneered. Shouting at the protagonist's lackeys didn't make him feel guilty at all. On the contrary, it felt exhilarating. This was the joy of being a villain's right-hand man. This was why he willingly served under an antagonist. He could throw his weight around. If trouble arose, his boss would take the fall. He could do as he pleased without consequence. Seeing his subordinate standing up for him, Chu Ziyoshin smirked in satisfaction. The guards, however, looked disgusted. A lackey barking like a dog. But despite their disdain, they knew better than to offend the Chu family's people. So, they kept their heads down and remained silent. Just then, one of the guards' eyes lit up. A man in a security uniform was approaching. It was Zheng Fen. The day he joined, he had single-handedly beaten every guard into submission. Back then, their former security chief had refused to accept him and tried to teach the newcomer a lesson. He ended up in the hospital and still hadn't been discharged. After that brutal defeat, all the guards acknowledged Zheng Fen as their new leader. "What's going on?" Sensing the tense atmosphere, Zheng Fen frowned. His voice was hoarse. A fire burned within him. 2 sleepless nights had left him exhausted, but no matter how much he wanted to rest, sleep wouldn't come. So, he had came to the company instead. "Brother Zheng, these guys are demanding to see the president." One of the guards quickly explained the situation. Zheng Fan's bloodshot eyes landed on Chu Ziyoshin and Li Zhao. Chu Ziyoshin looked unimpressed. Just a security guard. Not even worth his attention. Li Zhao, on the other hand, felt his pupil's contract. Finally, he was face to face with the protagonist. As the standoff continued, a white Maserati pulled up. The first heroine, Lin Shuking, had arrived. Chapter 97. You want to meet our CEO? Do you have an appointment? Zheng Fan was in a terrible mood. He took a deep breath, trying to suppress his frustration, and asked methodically. "Are you blind?" Feeling insulted, Li Zhao immediately jumped in, pointing at Zheng Fan's nose and cursing. "Do you even know who our young Master Chu is? He needs an appointment? Watch your words. Do you really think our young Master Chu can't have your CEO fire you? Useless trash like you shouldn't even be here." Seizing the opportunity, Li Zhao unleashed a verbal barrage on the protagonist. It felt amazing. Back when he read the novel, he had long found the protagonist annoying. Damn it, you refuse to make a move on the heroine, yet you act all high and mighty. Finally being able to insult him in person felt incredibly satisfying. At the same time, Li Zhao made sure to shift the blame onto Chu Ziyoshin. If the protagonist got angry, he'd go after Chu Ziyoshin instead. Unlike in the novel, Li Zhao had no intention of fighting the protagonist head-on. He'd rather sit back and watch the drama unfold. If he didn't at least shout 666 from the sidelines, he'd be showing mercy. Chu Ziyoshin lifted his chin proudly, shooting Li Zhao a look of approval. This lackey knew exactly what to do. Meanwhile, Zheng Fan's expression darkened further. "No appointment? Then get lost. If you cause trouble here, don't blame me for being rude." The security guards behind him were stunned, giving him silent thumbs-ups. As expected of the boss. Fearless and ruthless. So what if this was the Chu family's young master? He still got cursed out like a dog. Chuzi-Ocean's face stiffened. He felt his dignity crumbling. Who the hell is this punk? He had already stated his identity, yet this guy still refused to give him any face? Noticing the protagonist's rising anger, Li Zhao instinctively shifted behind the antagonist, Chuzi-Ocean. If a fight broke out, he'd duck for cover immediately. At that moment, a Maserati quadruport slowly approached and came to a stop nearby. A stunning figure stepped out of the car. She was a breathtakingly beautiful woman. Her features were exquisite, with deep, well-defined contours. Her mesmerizing eyes sparkled like gemstones, drawing attention effortlessly. Her long, jet-black hair cascaded over her shoulders, silky and elegant. She had a tall, slender frame, her curves perfectly accentuated. Her fair, flawless skin radiated a delicate glow. Dressed in a professional CEO outfit, her face remained cold and emotionless, exuding an aura of chilling indifference. No wonder she was the novel's top heroine. Her beauty and figure were unparalleled. The only downside was her icy demeanor. It was Li Zhao's first time seeing Lin Chuking in person. His eyes locked onto her, unable to look away. Completely captivated. Compared to the other heroines, she was on a whole different level. As for her frosty personality, it made sense given her title as the Iceberg CEO. But wasn't that also part of her allure? Just imagining her cold, untouchable aura and high-status identity made her all the more tempting. The thought of dominating this Iceberg CEO sent a thrill down his spine. Even though Chuzi-Ocean had seen Lin Chuking multiple times, he still found himself mesmerized every time. Zhang Fan caught their expressions, his face growing even darker. A surge of fury welled up inside him. Their lecherous gazes reminded him of Zhao Wanling, the beautiful landlady who had been stolen from him. He had already lost a woman who was supposed to be his. He wouldn't allow anyone to lay their hands on Lin Chuking. These two were as good as dead. What's going on? Lin Chuking furrowed her brows at the commotion outside her company's entrance and stepped out of her car to investigate. A security guard quickly scurried over to explain the situation. Lin Chuking's icy gaze landed on Chuzi-Ocean. What do you want? Chuzi-Ocean snapped out of his daze and immediately put on a fawning smile. Chuking, I came to discuss a business partnership. I heard you've recently developed a new energy battery, and I'd like to place a large order. He made it sound like a business deal, but in reality, it was just an excuse to throw money at her. Lin Chuking's company had developed a cutting-edge battery, but the technology wasn't fully perfected yet. Because of that, not many companies had shown interest in working with her. As the saying goes, proximity gives you an advantage. By initiating this partnership, Chuzi-Ocean hoped to get closer to Lin Chuking. Once they had a business relationship, wouldn't meeting up and having dinner be perfectly natural? With some flowers, surprises, and a bit of persistence, he might just melt this Iceberg CEO's heart. Thinking about the future where he would finally win her over, Chuzi-Ocean felt pleased with his own cleverness. Lin Chuking's frown deepened. She saw right through his scheme. What's wrong with this guy? She had already rejected him countless times, yet he kept pestering her. It was beyond annoying. She had no interest in getting entangled with these spoiled second-generation heirs. Even if he wanted to throw money at her, she wouldn't accept it. Because once her product was fully developed, it was bound to be a massive success. It could even revolutionize the automobile industry, shifting the market away from fuel-powered cars. At that point, she wouldn't be lacking in investors. Apologies. My company's new product is still under development. We're not looking for partners at this time. Lin Chuking turned him down politely but firmly. Chuzi-Ocean refused to give up. An idea flashed in his mind, and his eyes lit up. Chuking, aren't you currently raising funds for your research? How about this? I'll cover whatever amount you need. Consider it an investment. Li Zhao, watching from the side, shook his head in disbelief. This villain had serious IQ problems. How could he not understand such an obvious rejection? He was the heir to a $100 billion family, yet his intelligence was seriously lacking. The protagonist's IQ suppression aura was truly overpowered. Glancing at Zhang Fan, who was observing coldly from the side, Li Zhao smirked. If Chuzi-Ocean kept pushing, the protagonist was bound to snap. When that happened, Li Zhao needed to be as far away as possible. Sure enough, Lin Chuking rejected him again. Apologies, but my company's battery technology has already reached a critical phase. We don't need external investments. Oh. I see. Chuzi-Ocean thought about it and realized it made sense. If the technology was about to be completed, investing now would just be taking advantage. Why would Lin Chuking agree to that? Was this his only chance to get closer to her? He had worked hard to come up with this idea. Wait. Chuking, I remember you're clearing out inventory for your new technology development, he said, slapping his chest confidently. I'll take all of it. Enough. Lin Shuking couldn't listen anymore and cut him off. Was this guy really stupid or just pretending? She had rejected him so clearly, yet he still couldn't take the hint? Did she really need to spell it out for him? Mr. Chu, please leave. I will not collaborate with you. And stop bothering me. There is no possibility between us. Her tone was firm. After saying that, Lin Shuking ignored Chuseoshin and drove into the company. Chuseoshin stood there, stunned. Ever since he met Lin Shuking by chance, he had fallen for her at first sight and started pursuing her relentlessly. But all he got was rejection after rejection. Still, he never gave up. He thought that by becoming her business partner first, he could gradually turn into a friend and then pursue her from there. He came here full of hope today, but Lin Shuking had crushed him completely. Forget about winning her over. He couldn't even secure a business deal. She clearly wanted nothing to do with him. Hey. You just love humiliating yourself, don't you? Why even bother? A mocking voice came from the side. Zheng Fen. Now that you've seen our president, you can leave, right? Satisfying. His brother's fiancée was truly domineering. At the same time, he felt reassured. With Lin Shuking's icy personality, even that hypocrite Zhu Hao wouldn't be able to deceive her. Chuseoshin snapped. Hearing someone taunting him at this moment sent him into a rage. He turned and saw that it was Zheng Fen. The one who had refused to give him face earlier. Now, old and new grudges piled up together. Who the hell are you? Just a worthless security guard barking at me? Your father must be a failure to have raised trash like you. At the mention of his father, Zheng Fan's eyes turned sharp and dangerous. He immediately thought of the possibility that Zhu Hao had harmed his father. Li Zhao, watching this unfold, quietly took a step back. This villain was really asking for it. He had to make sure he wasn't caught in the crossfire. Chuseoshin, oblivious to the danger, kept mocking. Oh? What, you mad now? What, you wanna hit me? Come on, punch me in the face. I dare you. Seeing Zheng Fan clench his fists, exuding murderous intent, Chuseoshin laughed. He even leaned his face forward. Zheng Fan smirked. You said it yourself. Never heard a request like this before. With that, he slapped Chuseoshin hard across the face. What the? The security guards behind Zheng Fan were stunned. This was the young master of the billion-dollar Chu family. And the boss dared to hit him like that? That was some insane courage. Smack. The slap landed cleanly. Chuseoshin spun in place, his head buzzing. His cheek burned with pain and started to swell. When he finally regained his senses, he exploded with rage. He had never been hit before in his life. Even his own father wouldn't lay a hand on him. Yet today, he had been slapped in public. All his dignity was gone. His expression twisted in fury, and he lunged forward. You dare hit me? I'll kill you. But with his pathetic fighting skills, how could he be a match for Zheng Fan, who had trained in the underworld for years? As he charged forward, Zheng Fan delivered a brutal punch. With a sickening crunch, Chuseoshin's nose caved in, and blood splattered. Zheng Fan had completely lost his patience. He hadn't slept for 2 nights, and his mind was already on edge. On top of that, he had just seen his beloved landlady, Zhao Wanling, with Zhu Hao, and she was even planning to kick him out. His heart was full of rage. Chuseoshin had just ignited the fire completely. Since he had already made a move, he might as well teach this rich kid a proper lesson. He stepped forward and rained punches and kicks on Chuseoshin. He held back just enough to avoid causing fatal injuries, but his sheer strength was overwhelming. Even with restraint, Chuseoshin ended up looking like a swollen pig, barely conscious on the ground. After dealing with him, Zheng Fan's anger still wasn't satisfied. He turned to Li Zhao, who had tried to sneak away. This guy had been happily cursing at him earlier. Oh, he was going to enjoy this. What the? Seeing how badly Chuseoshin had been beaten, Li Zhao silently mourned for him. But when he saw Zheng Fan charging at him, he panicked. Damn it. He had already run so far away. Why was he still getting dragged into this? In the end, Li Zhao also got a brutal beating. In a VIP hospital room. 2 hospital beds. 2 people, both wrapped in bandages. Li Zhao deeply regretted everything. If he had known the protagonist was this unreasonable, he would have just rewritten the plot and convinced Chuseoshin not to go after Lin Shuking. This beating had been way too much. His whole body ached like he was dying. And he had at least some fighting ability. Chuseoshin, in the bed next to him, had it even worse. He was still unconscious. When Xu Zhuang came to visit and saw his son, whom even he couldn't bear to hit, beaten to such a miserable state, he was furious. And his loyal follower, Li Zhao, was also critically injured. Xu Zhuang was beyond enraged. He immediately mobilized all of the Chu family's resources and began suppressing King Tian electronics. Meanwhile, at the zoo residence, Zhu Hao sat on a couch, sipping tea while scrolling through reports from his subordinates. The events at King Tian Electronics entrance were all there. His understanding of the protagonist deepened. Yep, this guy always resorted to violence when things didn't go his way. Now, Lin Chuking and the Chu family were officially at odds. And naturally, the protagonist would take Lin Chuking's side. Which meant, was this another opportunity for him to reap the benefits? Zhu Hao's eyes gleamed with thought. If he could swallow the entire Chu group, that would be ideal. Not far from him, Zhu Fian wore a JK uniform. After Zhu Hao set down his teacup, she picked up the teapot and refilled his cup. Her gaze was filled with resentment. That's right. She had lost to Zhu Hao in their duel again today. And this time, Zhu Hao had won fair and square, without using any underhanded tricks. They had fought for a long time, but in the end, Zhu Hao had narrowly claimed victory. Although Zhu Fian had indeed lost, she refused to accept it. If Zhu Hao were significantly stronger than her, she wouldn't have minded. But he had only been slightly better. Just by a tiny margin. And now, as a result of losing the bet, she had to wear a JK uniform and serve him tea. Seeing herself dressed like a schoolgirl, she wished she could disappear into the ground. It was beyond humiliating. She was destined to be a queen. Wearing a JK uniform made her look way too playful. What she wanted was authority. Didn't they understand a queen's dignity? Thinking about it made her even angrier. It was her sister, Zhu Hui, who had suggested this ridiculous bet. She had refused at first, but Zhu Hui had provoked her into accepting. Then Zhu Hao added, if you don't agree, we won't compete at all. No way. He had been ordering her around for days. She had to win this fight and get her revenge. So she agreed. With her reputation on the line, she gave it everything she had. She blocked out all distractions and focused entirely on the battle. Zhu Hao, putting in just a bit more effort than usual, barely managed to defeat her. He had to give her a glimmer of hope. That way, she'd stay motivated to keep challenging him. And he could continue tormenting her. Until he shattered her pride completely. Zhu Fian lost and had to fulfill the bet. But she didn't even own a JK uniform. She had never worn one in her life. So Zhu Hui went out and personally bought several sets for her. Zhu Fian was livid. That mischievous little sister was getting more and more out of control. When she got back from school, she was definitely going to teach her a lesson. Ding-ling-ling. 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 Just as she was plotting her revenge, a video call notification popped up. She glanced at her phone. It was a group call. She was about to answer but suddenly froze. Then it hit her. She was still wearing this ridiculously cute JK uniform. If her older sisters saw her like this, she'd never hear the end of it. Without hesitation, she moved her finger to Chapter 98, The Four Loving Sisters Group Chat. Traditional medicine yids. Money is my only goal. Science is the first productive force. Fifth sister, what's going on? Why aren't you answering the video call? Zhu Fian quickly typed a reply. Call me queen, I'm outside, it's inconvenient right now. Traditional medicine yids, ha. Inconvenient? More like someone has defected and is too embarrassed to face us. Money is my only goal. Fifth sister, you've really let us down. Science is the first productive force, I knew it. I knew it. Back when you swore you'd never forgive Zhu Hao, I had a bad feeling. And now? You're enjoying it, aren't you? Zhu Fian stared at the messages, confused. What did they mean? How had she betrayed them? Call me queen, you guys must be mistaken. How did I betray the group? Traditional medicine yids, don't pretend, fifth sister. We have proof. See for yourself. Image.jpg. Zhu Fian clicked on the image and instantly felt her vision go black. She nearly passed out. The picture showed her in a JK uniform, obediently pouring tea for Zhu Hao. The angle of the shot was deliberately chosen, capturing the perfect scene of a dutiful daughter serving her father. Science is the first productive force. I can't believe you, fifth sister. You always talk about being a queen, yet here you are, meekly serving tea. And to that heartless man, no less. Money is my only goal, just leave the group. Zhu Fian snapped back to her senses and immediately realized the malicious intent behind this. Someone had deliberately taken this picture and sent it to her sisters to stir up conflict among them. How sinister. Call me queen, it's not what you think. Let me explain. She quickly recounted how, upon returning home, she had seen her younger sisters and third sister acting all obedient. Determined to avenge them, she had challenged Zhu Hao to a bet. Only to lose. Science is the first productive force, really? Are you lying to us? Traditional medicine yids, fifth sister, just admit it. I've seen you crush stones with one hand. You've reached the Mingjin level of martial arts. Stronger than most special forces. And you expect us to believe that a man who's never trained in martial arts defeated you? You must have thrown the fight on purpose. Having trained in medicine on the mountain, she knew that traditional healers often practiced martial arts. Her master was incredibly skilled, and she herself had already reached the mid-stage of Mingjin. She knew how powerful she was. So there was no way Zhu Hao, who had never trained before, could defeat her. Seeing that none of her sisters believed her, Zhu Fian felt utterly helpless. For the first time, she understood what her younger sisters had felt when they were suspected in the group chat. Call me queen, please, believe me. I really lost the bet. Zhu Hui, that little traitor, is trying to turn us against each other. Traditional medicine yids, suspicious. JPG science is the first productive force. You're not trying to infiltrate our group and gather intelligence, are you? Money is my only goal. We'll give you one more chance. If I find out you've betrayed us, just wait till I get back. Putting down her phone, Zhu Fian let out a bitter laugh. Her sisters really had no faith in her. Forgive Zhu Hao? She glanced at him. Relaxed and unbothered. This was a man who constantly bullied and bossed her around. How could she possibly forgive him? Her anger flared up again. Zhu Hui had actually taken secret photos and sent them to her sisters to create conflict. Unforgivable. Her sharp gaze caught sight of two heads peeking in from outside the door. They quickly retracted. Zhu Fian sneered, put down her teacup, and strode outside. Zhu Shiking and Zhu Hui looked alarmed. It had been Zhu Hui's idea to take the picture and send it to their older sisters. They knew their older sisters had created a separate group chat to oppose Zhu Hao. By using this method, they aimed to stir up discord among them. Seeing Zhu Fian's expression, they knew their plan had worked. Zhu Shiking glanced inside and gasped. Fifth sister is coming for us. Zhu Hui panicked. What are we waiting for? Run. And so, a chaotic chase began in the villa. That evening, after dinner, Zhu Hao gathered Suwankyu and his daughters. I got something good while I was away for the past 2 days. I want to give it to you all. The girls were puzzled. With Zhu Hao gone, no one had taught them painting, calligraphy, or piano. It had felt strange. Now they wondered what he had brought back. Zhu Hao took out 5 Zisui pills. Since he had already given them to the female lead, Zhao Wanling, his own family naturally couldn't be left out. Wouldn't making his daughters even more beautiful be a problem? Not at all. They would belong to him forever. As soon as the pills appeared, a rich medicinal aroma filled the room. Suwankyu and the girls inhaled deeply, feeling refreshed and energized. Zhu Hui curiously leaned in, staring at the pills. Dad, what are these? You'll know once you take one. Without hesitation, Zhu Hui picked up a pill and swallowed it. Her trust was overwhelming. Zhu Hao hadn't even explained its effects yet. Soon, impurities seeped out of her body. Suwankyu quickly reminded her, and Zhu Hui dashed to the bathroom to clean up. Half an hour later, she returned in fresh clothes, her face glowing with excitement. Her skin was now snow white and radiant, with an almost ethereal glow. She was even more beautiful than before. The women in the room were stunned. Zhu Hui was thrilled. She ran up to Zhu Hao, hugged him, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Dad, you're the best. I love you so much. Her excitement was understandable. Everyone loves beauty, especially girls. They had been beautiful since childhood and were considered school beauties. But who wouldn't want to be even more stunning? Not only had she become more beautiful, but she also felt physically stronger. Winning the 100-meter race at school would be effortless now. Ding. Zhu Hui is ecstatic. Emotion value plus 789, Zhu Fian frowned slightly at her sister's affectionate behavior. Wasn't this a bit too much? Shouldn't daughters keep some distance from their fathers at this age? But then, seeing the changes in Zhu Hui, she understood. Zhu Shiking, Zhu Hongzwang, and Suwankyu didn't think much of it. To them, this level of affection was still acceptable. After all, when Zhu Hao taught them painting and piano, he would hold them too. Seeing Zhu Hui's transformation, they couldn't stay calm anymore. They immediately reached for the pills in Zhu Hao's hand. Zhu Shiking hesitated. Her sister had expressed gratitude before taking one. Wouldn't it be rude just to take it? So, she turned back, showed her appreciation to Zhu Hao, then ran to the bathroom with her pill. She had seen the effects firsthand. She didn't want to embarrass herself in front of her sisters. Since her younger sister had already thanked Zhu Hao, Zhu Hongzwang also expressed her gratitude before taking the pill. Blushing slightly, she quickly ran off. By now, she had completely forgiven Zhu Hao. Those affectionate gestures no longer made her uncomfortable. Next was Suwankyu. She didn't hesitate at all and directly gave Zhu Hao a kiss. Only one pill remained. It was meant for his daughter, Zhu Fian. Even though he hadn't fully won over this daughter yet, there was no way she could escape his grasp. He decided to give it to her in advance, knowing it would earn him some favor. Seeing her sixth sister and third sister grab the pills and rush into the bathroom, Zhufian felt tempted. That pill could make her even more beautiful. But it came from Zhu Hao. Just that afternoon, she had sworn in the group chat that she would never forgive him. How could she possibly accept his gift now? She resisted the urge to take it, turning her head away from the pill in Zhu Hao's hand. Zhu Hui, barely containing her excitement, stepped away from Zhu Hao's embrace. Noticing the last pill in his hand, she glanced at her fifth sister, Zhufian, and asked curiously, "Fifth sister, Dad still has one left. Don't you want it?" Zhufian swallowed hard but let out a firm huff. "I wouldn't take anything from him." "Perfect?" Zhu Hui beamed, eagerly turning to Zhu Hao. "Dad, since fifth sister doesn't want it, can I have it? I want to be even more beautiful." Zhufian clenched her teeth in frustration. Even though she had no intention of taking Zhu Hao's gift, hearing her younger sister say that still irritated her. Zhu Hao shook his head at Zhu Hui. "One per person is enough. Taking more won't make a difference." Zhu Hui looked slightly disappointed but quickly recovered. She was already thrilled with the results and didn't want to be greedy. Since taking more wouldn't help, the last pill should be left for fifth sister. But what if she refused to accept it? Zhu Hui's eyes gleamed with mischief as an idea formed in her mind. She excitedly brought up all the benefits she had experienced after taking the pill. "Dad, what's this pill called? It feels like I've been reborn. My skin is softer, my hair is silkier, and even my mild nearsightedness is completely gone. I think my vision is now 5.5. My memory has also improved. I can recall things from when I was 2 or 3 years old." Zhu Hao immediately caught on to Zhu Hui's intentions and played along, explaining the effects of the pill. "It's called the Zisui pill. It expels bodily impurities and enhances physical constitution and bone structure." Zhu Hui deliberately asked, "It improves physique and bone structure? No wonder I feel so full of energy, and my memory has sharpened. That means it must be excellent for martial arts training. Better eyesight helps spot an opponent's weaknesses, and improved memory makes learning faster. With a stronger physique, someone could easily become a martial arts expert." At first, Zhufian remained indifferent. But as she listened to their conversation, her heartbeat quickened, and her breathing grew slightly erratic. Enhancing physique and bone structure? Wouldn't that mean she could train more efficiently after taking it? As her younger sister continued listing the pill's benefits, Zhufian became increasingly tempted. Maybe it was just her imagination, but the pill's scent alone made her feel like she was on the verge of breaking through her bottleneck in the early Mingjin stage. Zhu Hao was only slightly stronger than her right now. If she broke through, wouldn't she be able to defeat him easily in their next match? At that moment, she finally understood how Zhu Hao had become so powerful in just a year or two. He must have taken the Zisui pill. Otherwise, how could he have suddenly become so much younger? The effects of the Zisui pill were simply unbelievable. Not only did it rejuvenate a person, but it also boosted strength and enhanced memory. Seeing that the time was right, Zhu Hao looked at Zhufian. "Fian, just take it. It will help you improve your strength." Zhufian was already on the verge of giving in. Hearing his words, she almost reached out instinctively. But she forced herself to maintain her pride and coldly said, "How much does this pill cost?" "I'll buy it." "PFFT." Zhu Hui burst into laughter. "Fifth sister, are you joking? You actually think you can measure this Zisui pill's value in money? Do you realize how miraculous it is? Calling it a divine medicine wouldn't be an exaggeration. If someone put it up for auction, the starting price would be at least 10 billion. If there was demand, the price could even reach 1 trillion. But let's be real. Who would be dumb enough to sell it at an auction? Wouldn't they rather use it themselves? Dad gave it to us because he loves us. No one else could even dream of getting one." That was why she had been so overwhelmed with gratitude earlier, throwing herself into his arms. Tears of appreciation welled up in her eyes. Zhu Hao glanced at his youngest daughter with approval. She was an absolute genius at persuasion. Zhufian's face flushed red with embarrassment. She knew her younger sister was right. This kind of priceless treasure was beyond money. Even if she sold herself, she wouldn't be able to afford it. Seeing her hesitate, Zhu Hao spoke again. "We're all family. Why talk about money? I just want to see you all become better versions of yourselves. Take it." Zhufian looked at his sincere smile. Then she glanced at the pill in his hand, its fragrance still filling the air. The temptation was too strong. Finally, she gave up on keeping her pride intact. She gritted her teeth, stepped forward, and grabbed the Zisui pill. Fine. At worst, she could just win against Zhu Hao in a match later and refuse to let him boss her around anymore. As soon as she took the pill, Zhu Hui blocked her path. "Fifth sister, this isn't fair. When third sister, sixth sister, and Su Mom got their gifts from Dad. They all expressed their gratitude. You can't just take it and leave without saying anything. Zufyan, still overwhelmed with excitement, froze on the spot. Now that she had accepted Zhu Hao's gift, she couldn't just ignore it. But asking her to thank him like her sisters and Su Mom did? She couldn't do it. If that was the requirement, she would rather not take the Zisui pill. Just as Zufyan found herself in an awkward predicament, Zhu Huai spoke up again. I don't need you to be like us. Just say thank you, Dad. That's not too much to ask, right? It wasn't. Saying a few words in exchange for an invaluable treasure like the Zisui pill? That was an unbelievable deal. But Zufyan hesitated. Calling him Dad. She had promised her sisters that she wouldn't betray them. Then again, was this really a betrayal? It was just a temporary concession to get the pill. Yes, that was it. Noticing her hesitation, Zhu Huai's lips curled into a sly smile. She quietly took out her phone and tapped the record button. At that moment, Zhu Hao spoke. Huai is just joking. Fian, just take it. We're family. There's no need to say thanks. Zhu Huai shot him a look of frustration. Zhu Hao instantly understood. Ah, my dear daughter, you're still too inexperienced. Haven't you heard of retreating to advance? Sure enough, hearing Zhu Hao's words made Zufyan feel like walking away now would be too much. She turned around, took a deep breath, and faced Zhu Hao. Thank you, Dad. As soon as the words left her mouth, she bolted upstairs to her bedroom's bathroom. At the same time, Zhu Huai tapped the stop button on the recording, a triumphant smile spreading across her face. Chapter 99. Half an hour later. Su Wanqiu and her daughters gradually stepped out of the bathroom, their faces beaming with joy. They could all feel the changes within themselves. Zhu Shiking, who loved painting, suddenly recalled techniques and knowledge she had nearly forgotten. Concepts Zhu Hao had taught her before. Things she didn't quite understand. Now made perfect sense. Su Wanqiu felt her physical strength improve. She could endure longer. The only question was whether she could suppress herself from making any sounds. The girls once again expressed their gratitude to Zhu Hao. Surrounded by a group of lively, beautiful women, Zhu Hao was on cloud 9. Ding. Zhu Shiking is overjoyed. Emotion value plus 777. Ding. Zhu Hong's is deeply moved. Emotion value plus 888. Ding. Su Wanqiu's heart races. Emotion value plus 999. Before long, Zufyan also stepped out. She couldn't hide the smile on her lips. Because the moment she took the cleansing marrow pill, the bottleneck that had blocked her progress for so long was effortlessly shattered. She advanced to the mid-stage of Mengjin. Not only that, but the combat techniques her eldest sister had taught her resurfaced in her mind with newfound clarity. She even gained some fresh insights. Confidence surged through Zufyan. For days, she had suffered defeat at Zhu Hao's hands, and her fighting spirit had nearly crumbled. But now, the rain had stopped, the sky had cleared, and she felt strong again. She was eager to challenge Zhu Hao in a sparring match. Then again, she had to admit. Her breakthrough was all thanks to his cleansing marrow pill. Beating him up right after benefiting from him seemed a little ungrateful. Her gaze fell on the flock of lively beauties surrounding Zhu Hao. If she proposed a duel now, her sisters would probably tear into her. After some thought, Zufyan decided to put it off until tomorrow. Tonight was destined to be another sleepless night. That evening, Su Wanqiu slipped into a flight attendant uniform. Zhu Hao played the role of captain, ready to pilot the plane. As it turned out, Su Wanqiu's enhanced physique did let her endure longer. But keeping quiet? That was a challenge. Ding. Su Wanqiu loses herself in the moment. Emotion value plus 963.02. The master bedroom was far from peaceful. And the other sisters' rooms were just as lively. Meanwhile, Zhu Huai sent a message to their group chat, 7 fairies of stunning beauty, along with an audio clip of Zufyan saying, "Thank you, Daddy. Little girl selling nukes, big sis, second sis, fourth sis, just give up already and come back to us. Fifth sis has already joined our side. Listen to this audio." The sisters' eyes sharpened as they played the clip. "Thank you, Daddy." It was undeniably Zufyan's voice. At the time, she had been genuinely moved by Zhu Hao's generosity in giving her the cleansing marrow pill unconditionally. So, her words carried sincere gratitude. Her sisters exploded. "Traditional medicine yids, ha. I knew it. Not only did you betray the organization, but you're still lurking in the group as a spy. Technology is the first productivity factor. Does Zhu Hao have some kind of magic? We were all on the same team, and now one by one, you're defecting? All I want is money, call me queen. What do you have to say for yourself?" Zufyan had been basking in her newfound strength. Then she saw the mentions in the chat. She clicked in. And was stunned. Rage bubbled up. That little traitor, Zhu Huai. When did she record that? She just wouldn't rest until she sowed discord among them. Call me your queen, listen to me. Zhu Huai is twisting the truth to drive a wedge between us. Traditional medicine yids, oh really? So that's not your voice? Technology is the first productivity factor. You sure sounded affectionate when you called him daddy. Such a good little girl. All I want is money, go on, keep making things up. We're listening. Little girl selling nukes, fifth sis, it's over. There's no point pretending. Big sis and the others have already seen through you. Call me your queen, at little girl selling nukes, shut up. Everyone, don't listen to Zhu Huai's nonsense. Here's what really happened. Zhu Fian hastily explained the events of the night. Traditional medicine yids, seriously? That pill not only improved your skin but also made your hair softer? Enhanced your senses and memory? Boosted your physique? Sounds way too miraculous. Technology is the first productivity factor, fifth sis, you've changed. We barely recognize you anymore. To deceive us, you're making up this ridiculous story? Do you think we're idiots? All I want is money, so let me get this straight. You called him daddy just because of one little pill? Where's your queenly dignity? Zhu Fian wanted to cry. Her sisters wouldn't believe her no matter what she said. Then, drawing a circle to curse you, I can vouch for fifth sis. Uploading 2 photos. The pictures showed a before and after comparison taken in the bathroom. Proof of the cleansing marrow pill's effects. I'm really not a superstar, I can vouch for her too. Uploading my own comparison photos. Turns out, Zhu Hongzwang had taken some as well. Zhu Fian, who had been sulking over her sister's disbelief, suddenly felt warmth in her heart. Her third and sixth sisters had stepped up for her. That was kind of touching. Now, the real question was, would the others believe it? A sister in the alliance didn't trust herself, turning hostility into a way to prove herself within the organization. I'm really not a superstar, eldest sister, second sister, fourth sister, come back home. If dad can take out 5 marrow cleansing pills at once, he definitely has more. You can all become as strong as we are. Traditional Chinese medicine yids, hey, those 2 little traitors always brag about Zhu Hao, but now even you, third sister, are joining in? Technology is the first productivity factor, you'll go to any lengths to trick us into coming back, huh? You, who never use beauty filters, are actually using them now. All I want is money, tired of this. Let's call it quits. The entire group chat fell silent. Zhu Fian sent a message in another chat group, but no one responded. She knew her sisters didn't believe her and were furious. Thinking about how all of this was stirred up by Zhu Huai, anger surged within her. She got up and stormed into Zhu Huai's bedroom. A series of wails echoed through the house. The next day, Zhu Fian went to find Zhu Hao once again. It was time for another duel between them. Because of the pill you gave me last night, my strength has improved. If you think you're no match for me, you have the right to forfeit. In return for helping me grow stronger, I won't seek revenge for the humiliation you put me through before. Zhu Huai couldn't stand it anymore and immediately stepped in. Fifth sister, aren't you being shameless? Dad's marrow cleansing pill helped you improve, and now you want to challenge him? Zhu Fian shot her sister a glare. Didn't I just say? He can refuse. Zhu Huai wanted to argue, but Zhu Hao stopped her. If Fian wants to compete, I'll accept the challenge. A flicker of excitement flashed through Zhu Fian's eyes. Although she had decided not to punish Zhu Hao anymore, she still wanted to defeat him at least once. Ever since she returned, she had lost every battle against him. Her confidence was almost shattered. But we need a proper wager. Zhu Hao suddenly added. Zhu Huai glanced at him, as if she understood something, and her eyes lit up. How about this? I'll set the stakes. If fifth sister loses, she has to be dad's maid for a day. Wearing a maid outfit. A maid outfit. Zhu Fian froze, her gaze shifting to Zhu Hao with a strange expression. Zhu Huai, noticing her thoughts, added, didn't you just say that even if you win, you won't retaliate against dad? So, this punishment is designed just for you. Do you agree or not? Huh? Zhu Fian hesitated. She was meant to be a queen. How could she serve someone as a maid? A maid and a queen were complete opposites. Just picturing herself in a maid outfit, pouring tea and massaging Zhu Hao's shoulders, sent a shiver down her spine. I refu. Before she could finish, Zhu Huai cut her off. What's wrong? Fifth sister, weren't you confident? Are you backing down now? I think you should go train more before challenging dad again. Who said I'm afraid? Zhu Fian snapped in anger. She suddenly remembered that her strength had increased significantly compared to yesterday. Yesterday, Zhu Hao had barely beaten her. Today, she was certain she could defeat him. She would finally reclaim her dignity. And so, the bet was sealed. Zhu Shiking and Zhu Huai would serve as the referees. The match begins. Zhu Hao used his usual strategy, dodging and retreating until he reached the boundary line. Zhu Fian smirked. Trying to pull the same trick as last time? She wasn't going to fall for it again. She unleashed her full strength, displaying her mid-level Ninjin power along with her newly improved combat skills. But in the next instant, the world spun. Zhu Fian was sent flying once again. She landed on the ground in a daze, completely confused about what had just happened. As her blurred vision refocused, she saw Zhu Hao looking down at her with a smile. Fian, you underestimated your opponent. You thought just because you leveled up, you could defeat me. Haven't you heard the saying, even a lion uses its full strength to hunt a rabbit? No matter how strong you are, never look down on your enemy. As Zhu Hao lectured her, Zhu Fian remained perplexed. Had she really been careless? She had used her full power. Had she accidentally left an opening in her moment of confidence? Of course not. Zhu Hao had simply revealed a bit more of his hidden strength and easily crushed her. She was playing right into his hands. Fifth sister, you lost again. Zhu Huai giggled as she approached, scanning her sister from head to toe. The ever-proud queen as a little maid? That was a sight to look forward to. Zhu Shiking was equally intrigued and casually remarked, you really made that wager, huh? But we don't even have a maid outfit at home. That's no problem, Zhu Huai said excitedly. We can just go buy one. Actually, we should buy several styles so we don't have to go out every time. Her eyes sparkled. Zhu Fian's mouth twitched. What great sisters she had. They were so eager to see her in a maid outfit that they would go out of their way to buy one. Wait. Why did they need multiple outfits? Did they think she would keep losing? She was fuming. Zhu Hao, on the other hand, was very pleased. These were truly his good daughters. Zhu Huai and Zhu Shiking quickly went out and returned with the maid outfit. Not just one, but several. Inside the shopping bag, a pair of bunny ears peeked out. Zhu Fian clenched her teeth. Her sisters were too much. Clearly, last night's lesson wasn't enough. She would have to continue tonight. Under their relentless pressure, Zhu Fian had no choice. She finally changed into the maid outfit. Looking at her dressed as a proper little maid, her usual fierce aura clashed completely with her current submissive appearance. Ahem. I feel a bit sore lately. Little maid, give me a massage. Zhu Hao smirked playfully. You're feeling sore? No wonder. You stay up so late every night. Zhu Fian huffed. Once again, she had underestimated him. What was he so smug about? And now he was making her give him a massage? Unbelievable. But a bet was a bet. Gritting her teeth, Zhu Fian stood behind Zhu Hao and started massaging his shoulders. Ding. Zhu Fian is fuming. Emotional value plus 888, ding. Zhu Fian is gritting her teeth. Emotional value plus 999, feels nice. Zhu Hao let out a satisfied sigh. Having a maid at his beck and call while also racking up emotional points. It couldn't get any better. Just as this heartwarming father-daughter moment unfolded, a faint click of a camera sounded from a hidden corner. Zhu Huai lowered her phone and checked the photo she had just taken. After glancing at the image, she nodded in satisfaction. She shot a smug look at Zhu Fian, who was still massaging Zhu Hao, and smirked triumphantly. Let's see how you stay in the same camp as our eldest sister now. Without hesitation, Zhu Huai attached the photo to a message, edited the text, and sent it to the Seven Sisters group chat. Little girl selling nukes, fifth sister is too much. Just to please dad, she actually put on a maid outfit and gave him a massage. These days, even being a daughter is this competitive. Image.jpg. As soon as the sisters opened the picture, their anger exploded. The once loving four sisters united instantly turned into three sisters united. That night, after an entire day of massaging Zhu Hao, Zhu Fian finally had time to check her phone. Noticing over 99 plus unread messages in the group chat, she felt puzzled. She opened it and scanned through the flood of messages. Only to realize that, once again, Zhu Huai was stirring up trouble. Her mischievous little sister had taken photos of her in the maid outfit while massaging Zhu Hao and sent them to the group. Now, her eldest sister, second sister, and fourth sister were all condemning her. A bad feeling crept into Zhu Fian's heart. She quickly opened another group chat. She tried to send a message to explain. But a red exclamation mark popped up. You have been removed from the group chat. Zhu Fian was speechless. Was this what it felt like to be forced onto the path of no return? She hadn't betrayed the organization. She immediately tried to explain in the Seven Sisters group chat, but no matter what she said, her sisters refused to believe her. Zhu Fian had always been proud, determined to become a queen and lead countless followers. Now, she had worn a maid outfit. Wasn't that evidence enough? The next day, Zhu Hao arrived at Zhao Wanling's house. The 3-day deadline had passed. It was time for Zhang Fan to hand over the house. Not wanting to face Zhang Fan alone, Zhao Wanling called Zhu Hao to come with her. She was having breakfast when she noticed the time and turned to Zhu Hao in surprise. Uncle Zhu, why are you here so early? It's not early. The timing is just right. Zhu Hao's expression was unreadable. Zhao Wanling paused, wondering if she had misread the clock. She checked again. No mistake. There was still more than an hour before their scheduled meeting at 10. Since he was already here, she figured he might as well keep her company. She asked, Uncle Zhu, have you had breakfast yet? Not yet. Then come eat with me. Alright. Uncle Zhu, I'm still eating, though. No problem. You eat yours, I'll eat mine. After finishing breakfast together, it was nearly 10 o'clock. Once they tidied up, they walked side by side to the protagonist Zhang Fan's rental house. Chapter 100. Zhang Fan skipped work again. He was at home packing his things. Yesterday, he received a warning from Zhao Wanling, telling him to move out by 10 a.m. today. If she found him still lingering, she would report him for trespassing. Helpless, Zhang Fan had no choice but to comply. However, he rented another place nearby, still holding on to a sliver of hope. He wanted to find evidence of Zhu Hao's crimes, expose his true face, and make Zhao Wanling leave him. Then, he would have a chance. As he sat at home, lost in thought, time passed quickly. At 10 a.m., a knock came at the door. When he opened it, he saw Zhao Wanling. A flash of amazement flickered in his eyes. She had become even more beautiful over the past few days, her charm significantly enhanced. Now, she was on par with his brother's fiancée. But when he thought about the reason for this change, anger surged within him. The reason? What else could it be? It was only after getting involved with Zhu Hao that Zhao Wanling had changed like this. Clearly, she had been well nurtured. Then, Zhang Fan's pupils contracted. Zhao Wanling wasn't alone. Beside her stood a handsome older man. Who else could it be but Zhu Hao? The two walked side by side, standing so close they were practically pressed together. Her eyes were soft and moist, and her cheeks were flushed. It wasn't hard to imagine what they had just been doing. Early in the morning, and they were already up to this. In broad daylight. Was this really the elegant and dignified landlady he once knew? No. It couldn't be. Zhao Wanling would never sink to this level. Zhu Hao must have forced her into it. Unforgivable. Ding. Zhang Fan's hatred surges. Emotional value plus 852. Facing Zhang Fan's resentful gaze, Zhu Hao smiled, exuding kindness. My dear nephew, you don't look too well. Let me give you some advice. Take care of yourself. Even young people need to get enough sleep at night. Zhang Fan's mouth twitched, his face dark as the bottom of a pot. Zhu Hao was mocking him again. It reminded him of the past, when he used to call this man uncle with respect. What a joke. Did Zhu Hao think he didn't know why he had trouble sleeping? Wasn't it all because of him? Drop the act. Have you always been this fake? Doesn't it get exhausting pretending all the time? Sigh. Zhu Hao let out a theatrical sigh. I know you're grieving your father's death, but seeing you like this, as your uncle, I can't help but worry. Swish. A cold glint flashed in Zhang Fan's eyes. For the past few days, he had been investigating his father's death. He had visited former shareholders of Zhu Corporation who had worked with his father. And he was now 99% certain. Zhu Hao was responsible. At first, Zhu Hao had offered double the price to buy shares from various shareholders. Only 3 refused to sell. Then, one by one, they met misfortune. One shareholder's son was kidnapped and held for ransom. She had no choice but to sell her shares in exchange for her son's safety. Another shareholder's company was suddenly exposed for a series of scandals. To avoid prison, he sold his shares to Zhu Hao. And finally, Zhang Fan's father. Unlike the others, he wasn't threatened. He went to Zhu Corporation and willingly transferred his shares. But on his way back, he died in a car accident. It was too much of a coincidence. 3 shareholders refused to sell, and all 3 encountered disaster. And in the end, all their shares landed in Zhu Hao's hands. Zhang Fan suspected that his father had discovered something. Fearing retaliation, he transferred his shares. But he underestimated Zhu Hao's ruthlessness. To silence him forever, Zhu Hao still chose to have him killed. Piecing together various clues, Zhang Fan had reconstructed the truth. Though he was now certain that Zhu Hao was behind his father's death, he had no evidence. Zhu Hao had covered his tracks too well, making it nearly impossible to prove. If this were the underworld, he wouldn't care about evidence. Just having a suspicion would be enough reason to act. But this was Jiazu, where killing was a crime. He couldn't afford to take Zhu Hao's life and be forced into hiding again. Besides, he had made a promise to a dying brother. To protect his fiancée. He couldn't break that promise. Now that he had returned to the city and seen so many beautiful women, he didn't want to return to his old life of endless bloodshed. Of course, Zhu Hao's bodyguard was also a factor. Zheng Fan wasn't afraid of him, but taking down Zhu Hao was still beyond his current capabilities. So, if he wanted to bring Zhu Hao down, he had to find solid evidence of his crimes first. Pull him down from the pedestal and make him the target of public scorn, throw him in prison. Or, once Zhu Hao loses his influence, he'll be at my mercy. Zheng Fan took a deep breath, suppressing the killing intent surging in his heart. He fixed Zhu Hao with a cold gaze. Zhu Hao, instead of worrying about me, you should worry about yourself. The more you walk in the dark, the sooner you'll run into a ghost. Hearing his mocking tone, Zhao Wanling frowned deeply. She had let this guy stay here for free for so many days, yet he still dared to be disrespectful to her beloved Uncle Zhu? Annoyance flared in her heart. Enough with the sarcasm. Show some respect when you talk to Uncle Zhu. Zheng Fan was stunned. He had already held back, considering Zhao Wanling was present. If she weren't here, his words would have been far harsher. Yet, she still scolded him. Frustration nearly made him spit blood. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and show us the place. I want to see if you've packed everything properly. If I find anything missing, don't blame me for calling the police. Her words made it clear. She saw him as a thief. Zheng Fan sighed. The better she treated Zhu Hao, the worse her attitude toward him became. The contrast was extreme. His hatred for Zhu Hao only deepened. He stepped aside to let them in. Just as Zhao Wanling was about to enter, her foot twisted. Ah! She let out a startled cry, pain shooting through her as she lost balance and fell to the side. Zhu Hao reacted swiftly, reaching out to catch her. Be careful. You're too careless. He scolded lightly. Zhao Wanling rolled her eyes at him. Like she didn't know why she was in this state? Showing up this early in the morning. Who could handle that? You hurt your foot. I better hold on to you, so you don't fall again. With that, Zhu Hao supported Zhao Wanling as they walked inside. Her cheeks flushed slightly. She didn't mind being held by Zhu Hao. After all, they had done everything before. But in the past, it was always just the two of them. Now, with an outsider watching, she felt a little embarrassed. Then she remembered. It was Zheng Fan. Oh, that was fine. She could just treat him like hair. Zheng Fan took in the entire scene, his brow twitching, veins bulging on his forehead. He had already suspected what they had been up to before arriving. But Zhu Hao. Was this guy serious? Did he really push her so hard that she sprained her ankle? Zhao Wanling. Such a wonderful girl. If she were his, he would cherish her, treat her like a treasure. Not like Zhu Hao, who only knew how to take and never considered her well-being. What pained him the most was that despite how Zhu Hao treated her, Zhao Wanling still wouldn't leave him. Ding. Zheng Fan's fury surges. Emotional value plus 741, ding. Zheng Fan is heartbroken. Emotional value plus 963, then came the house inspection. Zheng Fan had cleaned everything up and restored the place to its original state. In the end, Zhao Wanling took back the keys and kicked Zheng Fan out. All the way out, Zhu Hao held Zhao Wanling in his arms. Zheng Fan followed behind, feeling utterly miserable. His emotional value kept skyrocketing. Zhu Hao smirked. Coming here early and having breakfast with Zhao Wanling had paid off. He had earned a fortune in emotional value today. Watching Zhu Hao walk away with Zhao Wanling in his arms, Zheng Fan clenched his teeth so hard he nearly cracked. Zhu Hao, just wait. Once I find the evidence, we'll see how you get out of this. As the sun sets, night gradually enveloped the city. Inside an office at Mundo University, a light remained on. Wang Zuying, known as the most beautiful teacher on campus, was busy at her desk. Knock, knock. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. Wang Zuying looked up in confusion. Who would be looking for her at this hour? She got up, walked to the door, and opened it. Zhu Hao's figure appeared before her. Chairman Zhu? Wang Zuying was surprised. And when she saw the bouquet in his hand, delight lit up her face. Thank you. She accepted the flowers happily and asked curiously, Chairman Zhu, how did you know I was at school? You're a workaholic. Always staying late to prepare lessons. It wasn't hard to guess. Zhu Hao chuckled. Of course, he wouldn't say that his bodyguards, assigned to protect her in secret, had tipped him off. Zhu Hao stepped into the office and pulled Wang Zuying into his arms. Beautiful teacher, did you miss me? Feeling the warmth of his embrace and his strong, masculine presence, Wang Zuying's heart began to race. Even though they had been together for several days, every time he asked such an intimate question, she still didn't know how to respond. But she didn't need to answer. because in the next moment, her lips were already sealed. A long moment later. Breathless, Wang Zuying finally pulled away. She glanced anxiously toward the door. Seeing that no one was around, she let out a small sigh of relief. Chairman Zhu, not here. This is my office. Wang Zuying spoke shyly and gave Zhu Hao a doubtful look. Zhu Hao hadn't visited her in days. Had he come today just for that? A trace of disappointment filled her heart. Noticing her thoughts, Zhu Hao smiled slightly. You're always busy with work. Don't overwork yourself and end up sick. Take a break sometimes, go out, relax, and take care of yourself. Let's take a walk around campus tonight. I haven't seen what it looks like at night. Consider it keeping me company. Wang Zuying wasn't wrong. If he wasn't here for that, then what else? They had already tried the office. Today, Zhu Hao wanted a change of scenery. The small grove. It was Friday, a time he had deliberately chosen. Most students were off campus, checking into hotels, so there would be fewer people sneaking into the grove. Wang Zuying's face turned crimson, scolding herself inwardly. Wang Zuying, what are you thinking? Zhu Hao was just being considerate, worried that she was too lonely and came to keep her company. How could she suspect his intentions? That was completely inappropriate. Maybe it's you who's thinking about that. Oh, okay. She stammered out a response. Then, she locked her office and walked alongside Zhu Hao through the campus. Since it was a weekend night, there weren't many students around. It gave them a quiet environment. Both of them were well-known figures. Wang Zuying was hailed as the most beautiful teacher. Nearly everyone on campus knew her. Zhu Hao was slightly different. As the CEO of the Zhu Group, he was in a different league from the students and rarely interacted with them. Even as a board member of the school, he had only visited a few times, so not many students recognized him. They strolled leisurely, chatting along the way. How's your mother doing lately? At the mention of her mother, Wang Zuying's eyes lit up. She's recovering well. We took her for a checkup, and all her vitals are gradually stabilizing. She expressed her gratitude again. It was all thanks to Zhu Hao hiring top medical experts for her mother's treatment that she recovered so quickly. Zhu Hao had paid a hefty price for it, owing a personal favor to the director of the first hospital. But he simply smiled. Isn't building relationships all about accumulating favors? Though he didn't care much for social ties, he understood their necessity. After discussing her mother, Zhu Hao shifted the conversation to the two girls, Shiking and Hui, asking how they were doing at school. They walked and chatted, until, under Zhu Hao's subtle guidance, they arrived at the entrance of the small grove. Looking at the dimly lit woods ahead, Wang Zuying tensed up. How did we end up here? The last time I was here was in the morning. I wonder what it looks like at night. Zuying, let's go in and take a look. No. That's not necessary. There's nothing to see inside. Her heart pounded anxiously. Thinking he might not know what this place was used for, she bit her lip and spoke up. Chairman Zhu, do you know what people do in there? Zhu Hao feigned surprise. What do they do? Even under the dim lights, he clearly saw the deep blush spreading across her face. It's a dating spot for couples. I know. Young people these days are strange. Why do they like sneaking into groves? No, it's not just that. Nowadays, young couples are very open. They often do inappropriate things in there. Wang Zuying was so anxious that she almost stomped her foot. Zhu Hao's lips curled into a smirk as he continued his act. What kind of inappropriate things? She didn't notice the teasing tone in his voice. Taking a deep breath, she blurted out, just the same things we did at home, in the office, and that whole night. As she spoke, she noticed the amused glint in Zhu Hao's eyes and instantly realized she had been tricked. Shame and frustration overwhelmed her. She wished she could disappear into thin air. Well, now that you put it that way, I'm even more curious to check it out. Seeing that she couldn't stop him, Wang Zuying decided to wait outside. I'm not familiar with the way. Zuying, come with me. Huh? I think I'll stay here. Her heart pounded furiously, and doubt crept in. The path was right in front of them. How could Zhu Hao not know it? Besides, he had been here before. A thought surfaced in her mind. Was he planning something? Just come with me for a quick look. I promise I won't do anything. All right then. Unable to refuse, Wang Zuying reluctantly led the way. Chairman Zhu, you promised you wouldn't do anything. I'll just steal a kiss. Nothing more. You said. Just a little teasing, I swear. Zhu Hao had already arranged for his men to scout the grove. There was no one else inside. Now, it was just the two of them. His bodyguards were stationed at the perimeter, ensuring no one would disturb them. Soon, the dimly lit grove echoed with soft, melodious sighs. Chapter 101 Over My Dead Body. You think you can brush us off with that little money? Keep dreaming. Ha, old man, don't be so shameless. Another pleasant workday was over, and Li Yunxu happily headed home. Just as she neared her house, her steps suddenly halted. She heard her parents arguing. Something was wrong. A bad feeling crept up in her mind. Li Yunxu anxiously rushed toward her home. After just a few steps, the scene at her doorstep came into view. A group of thugs blocked the entrance, surrounding her parents. Her mother clutched a broom, her father held a wooden stick, confronting the gang. Li Yunxu hurried over. Dad, Mom, are you okay? What's going on? After checking on them, she felt a wave of relief. Luckily, her parents weren't hurt, and things hadn't escalated into a fight yet. She stepped in front of them, her gaze firm as she stared down the group of flashy gangsters. There were 7 or 8 young men, and the moment they saw the pure and beautiful girl, their eyes lit up. Damn. What a stunner. I've never seen such a gorgeous chick before. Seriously, she's at least 100 times prettier than Xiaohui from the foot massage parlor. Never thought these 2 old folks could have such a beautiful daughter. Boss, maybe we should ask Chairman Zhang to increase their compensation a little. With certain conditions, of course. Hey. The gangsters' eyes gleamed as they whispered among themselves, practically drooling. The leader, a young man with green-dyed hair, stood at the front. 2 dragons playing with a pearl tattoo covered his arm, making him look like a stereotypical gangster. Look at you fools, losing your minds just because of a girl. Green Hair scoffed in disdain. Then, he flipped his dyed green hair, flashing what he thought was a charming smile. Little girl, how old are you? Wanna be friends? As long as we're friends, we won't make things difficult for your parents. His subordinates rolled their eyes at his shamelessness. Seeing his daughter being harassed, Li's father was furious. He raised his stick and shielded her. What do you want? If you dare lay a finger on Yunxu, I'll fight you to the death. Fight me? You? An old man with 1 foot in the grave? Green Hair sneered. His lackeys burst into laughter. The compensation we offered stands. Accept it and move out, or we'll be visiting you every day. He smirked arrogantly. No way. That amount is nothing but pocket change. We'd rather die than agree. Li's father's face burned with anger as he glared at the gangsters. His stance was unwavering. The thugs were instantly displeased and started shouting. Damn it, old dog, don't be ungrateful. Getting compensation is already a blessing. What more do you want? Don't push your luck, old man. Keep stalling, and we'll bulldoze your house. Believe it or not? Just sign the damn papers. We'd rather be out picking up girls than wasting our time on you. Listen, just let your daughter have dinner with us, and we'll put in a good word with the boss about raising the offer. Their sneers and ridicule filled the air. How can you do this? Is there no justice, no law? Li's father pointed at them, his whole body shaking with rage. This is outrageous. I'm calling the police. Li's mother was so furious she could barely breathe. Li Yunxu quickly patted her mother's back, trying to calm her down. At the same time, she finally understood the situation. These thugs were hired by the developers. They were here to force her family out and prevent them from becoming holdouts. She knew their house was scheduled for demolition. Negotiations had been ongoing for days. Clearly, they hadn't reached an agreement. More than that, her parents were livid. These people were despicable. If they were being offered a fair price, they wouldn't object. They wanted a new home too. But it was obvious these thugs weren't here to negotiate. This was outright extortion. The developers were offering barely enough to survive. How could 10,000 yuan be enough for a new home in Shanghai? If they agreed, they might not even have a place to live. Law? Ha ha ha. Let me tell you, around here, we are the law. You wanna call the cops? Go ahead. See if they can do anything to us. Green Hair laughed mockingly. His gang burst into laughter as well. Li Yunxu felt a wave of anxiety. Her parents were already struggling to breathe from anger. What if they collapsed? What should she do? Call the police? But these thugs had made it clear they weren't afraid of the cops. So far, they had only harassed them. Not actually committed a crime. Even if the police came, they wouldn't be able to do much. Just as she was panicking, a figure appeared in her mind. Zhu Hao. He had helped her so many times, always showing up when she felt helpless. She had already grown to rely on him. Now, in this moment of danger, he was the first person she thought of. She bit her lip. She didn't want to trouble Zhu Hao unnecessarily. But this time, she had no choice. What if these thugs keep coming back? If they didn't deal with these thugs now, what would they do if the troublemakers kept showing up at their door? And what if the stress made her parents sick? Dad, Mom, I have an idea. I can contact Uncle Zhu. Her parents froze for a moment at her words. Then they remembered who she was referring to. Zhu Hao, the president of Zhu Corporation. Relief washed over them, their eyes lighting up. How could they have forgotten about him? That man had always taken care of Yunshu, even letting her call him uncle in private. With a problem this serious, he would surely help. Yes. Yunshu, call President Zhu. He'll definitely stand up for us, her mother said, as if she had found a lifeline. Her father nodded. That's right. We don't want to trouble him, but we have no other choice. We'll make sure to repay him in the future. Li Yunshu nodded and pulled out her phone, dialing the pinned contact. Ring. 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 Zhu Corporation. Zhu Hao sat in his office chair while Xiaoqing stood in front of him, lowering her head as she reported on her work. His phone rang. Zhu Hao already knew what this was about. After all, he was the one who ordered the pressure on Li's family. He let the phone ring for a few moments before finally picking it up. Uncle Zhu. Oh, Yunshu? What's the matter? Zhu Hao asked casually while stroking Xiaoqing's head. Xiaoqing stopped speaking, not wanting the person on the other end to hear her voice. She was curious now. From the way Yunshu addressed him, she already knew who was calling. Her new friend at the company, Li Yunshu. But why was she calling Uncle Zhu? Uncle Zhu, here's what happened. Li Yunshu quickly explained everything. Then, with nervous anticipation, she asked, Uncle Zhu, can you help me? I'll definitely find a way to repay you. What? This is outrageous. Zhu Hao exclaimed in an angry tone. Yunshu, tell me your address right now. I'm coming over. Is there no law left in this place? Overjoyed, Li Yunshu immediately gave him the address. After hanging up, she let out a long sigh of relief. Yunshu, what did he say? Will President Zhu help? Her parents asked anxiously. She smiled. Uncle Zhu said he'll be here right away. That's wonderful. Her parents were overjoyed. It seemed their daughter held a special place in President Zhu's heart. After all, with just a single word, he could have handled this, yet he was coming in person. President's office. Xiaoqing looked at Zhu Hao curiously. Uncle Zhu, who was that just now? Li Yunshu. Her family ran into some trouble, so she asked for my help. Zhu Hao didn't bother hiding it. He had already made significant progress in winning over this little heroine. It was time to see if she could accept the existence of his other companions. Uncle Zhu, don't tell me. You're interested in her? Xiaoqing pouted, clearly displeased. Of course not. I already have my precious king. Humphrey. Then I'll make sure to keep you too busy with work to think about anyone else. Hey. Back at the Li household, the thugs watched the Li family's reaction in confusion. What the hell? Did they just call for backup? In this territory, no one could do anything against them. Hey, I don't care who you call. It won't make a difference today. Still holding out? Looks like you need a real lesson. Little girl, stop wasting your time. Just be my friend, and I promise nothing will happen to your family. Seeing the disgusting smirks on their faces, Li's mother was furious. Don't be so arrogant. President Zhu will be here soon. Leave while you still can. President who? The thugs exchanged confused glances. Their blank expressions showed they had no idea who she was talking about. That wasn't surprising. These low-level thugs had no way of interacting with someone like Zhu Hao. Li's mother wanted to scare them off, so she explained, my daughter works for Zhu Corporation. The president, Zhu Hao, is coming. Green hair, the leader, flinched. Of course, he had heard of Zhu Hao. But would a man of his status really come all the way here over something this small? What a joke. Who are you trying to scare? You think someone like President Zhu would actually come just because you called? If you really knew him, would you still be living in this dump? His lackeys burst into laughter, mocking the Li family. Li's mother's face darkened. She had hoped that mentioning Zhu Hao's name would scare them off, but they didn't believe her at all. Humphrey. A bunch of ignorant street rats. Just then, she suddenly remembered her son, who was always out causing trouble. Recently, he had even gotten into a fight and landed in the hospital. No different from these thugs, she made up her mind. Once Li Zhao recovered, she would straighten him out, even if it meant breaking his legs. The room fell silent. Green hair grew impatient. I don't have time for this. Sign the papers now, and let your little sister keep us company. You want to say that again? A cold voice cut him off. SHFF, SHFF, SHFF. The gang turned their heads. A bruised and battered figure limped toward them. Where the hell did this hospital patient come from? The Li family saw him too and frowned. Who else could it be but Li Zhao? He was beaten so badly. Why wasn't he resting in the hospital? Why come back now? But Li Zhao was furious, his eyes burning with rage. After spending a few days in the hospital, he had mostly recovered. His injuries looked severe, but they were just surface wounds. Nothing serious. Props to the protagonist, Zhang Fan, for knowing when to hold back. Li Zhao had checked himself out, planning to go home and rest. But the moment he arrived, he saw a bunch of thugs bullying his family at the doorstep. Like hell he could let that slide. Zhao, why are you back? You're not healed yet. Get back to the hospital. You don't need to worry about this. We'll handle it. Go rest. His parents spoke up immediately. They were disappointed in him, but they didn't want him fighting thugs and getting hurt again. Don't worry, Mom, Dad. I'm fine. Li Zhao forced a grin. Taking care of these bottom feeders will only take a minute. Oh? Cocky, aren't you? Green Hair sneered at him. You think looking like that scares me? Leave. While you still can. Li Zhao stepped in front of his family, facing the gang with icy determination. Shit, this kid's got a death wish. Who the hell do you think you are, acting tough in front of us? You think you're some action hero? Look at you. One slap and you'd be calling me daddy. Just got out of the hospital, huh? You think we won't hit a patient? The gang of wannabe punks lost their temper. They were used to being the ones in control. How could they let some beaten-up guy act tough? Kid, do you even know who we are? Green Hair smirked, amused by Li Zhao's courage. You ever heard of the Blade Gang? We run King Long Road. Got dozens of brothers backing us up. We even got people in the police force. You scared now? I'll give you one chance to take back what you said. He sneered, expecting Li Zhao to beg. The Blade Gang was a joke. The real underground power in the South City was the Blood Slaughter Society. Even they didn't bother acknowledging the Blade Gang. Blade Gang? What a joke. Never even heard of you. Li Zhao knew exactly who they were. He used to run with their kind. But they were nobodies. Any decent martial artist could wipe them out. You little. Green Hair's face twisted in anger. You wanna die? Fine. Boys, get your weapons. The gangsters grabbed their weapons. Batons, machetes. Smirking as they closed in. Zhao, you can't fight them. Run. They won't hurt us. His parents were frantic. Your sister already called President Zhu. He'll be here soon and handle everything. Li Zhao frowned. Zhu Hao again? He hated that guy. The thought of him only brought bad feelings. But now wasn't the time to dwell on it. The thugs were approaching. Mom, Dad, relax. These clowns? Easy work. He turned to them and his sister, flashing a confident smile. You. His parents were speechless. Was their son an idiot? Was he joking right now? There were 7 or 8 armed thugs. How could he possibly fight them alone? He just got out of the hospital. Did he not remember how badly he was beaten? Mom, Dad, you should be worried about them, not me. Li Zhao's confidence was unshakable. His parents exchanged a look. Was their son crazy? Chapter 102. It seems I need to deal with this gang first to lure out the mastermind behind them. Li Zhao faced the group of thugs, his eyes cold and sharp. He glanced at a Mercedes parked not far away. Through the window, he could vaguely see someone inside watching the scene with an amused expression. As the gangsters closed in, Li Zhao charged straight into the crowd. He wouldn't let these guys harm his family. Like a wolf among sheep, he tore through them mercilessly. Even though he looked battered, his injuries were only superficial. His strength remained intact. Taking down these thugs was effortless. He had no intention of showing mercy to those who threatened his family. With each punch, a scream echoed, and another thug collapsed, completely losing the ability to fight. In just 1 minute, the once aggressive gang lay sprawled on the ground, groaning in pain. No, one man was still standing. The green-haired leader trembled all over, his face filled with horror. He clutched a baton in his hand, but it brought him no sense of security. His subordinates had knives, yet they were still beaten senseless. You! The green-haired leader was dumbfounded. Wasn't this guy just discharged from the hospital? How was he still this strong? Fighting 10 armed men was like child's play to him. Li Zhao's parents were equally shocked. They knew their son often got into trouble outside, but they never imagined he was this powerful. While relieved that he handled the situation, they also grew anxious. He had beaten them so badly. Would the police arrest him? Li Yunshu merely glanced at him briefly before looking away. In her opinion, this problem wasn't something that could be solved with brute force alone. Even if he beat these thugs, the gang behind them still had connections with the police. Better to wait for Uncle Zhu to arrive. Call out whoever's behind you. This isn't a matter for small fries like you anymore, Li Zhao said indifferently. The green-haired leader's expression shifted. Li Zhao was too strong. He wasn't a match for him. Only the vice president could handle this. No need to call. I'm already here. Just as the green-haired leader hesitated, A deep voice came from behind. A middle-aged man with an imposing presence and a slightly overweight frame stepped forward. President Zhang. The green-haired leader respectfully greeted him. This man was a big shot in their gang, the one who claimed to have police connections. His own brother. Tell the men to step back. President Zhang waved his hand, then turned to Li Zhao with a self-introduction. I'm the vice president of the Xiadao gang, also in charge of this demolition project. Li Zhao frowned. This man reeked of the same hypocrisy as Zhu Hao. A sneer crept onto his face. If it's just a demolition, we wouldn't have a problem with a fair price. But you're pushing people too hard. Ha. We don't need your advice on how we do business. You should worry about yourself instead. President Zhang suddenly changed his tone. He had no intention of playing nice anymore. Since they were enemies, there was no need for pretense. What do you mean? Li Zhao's eyes narrowed, sensing trouble. Assault and causing serious injury. I've already called the police. They should be here soon. President Zhang smiled smugly. Li Zhao tensed. They attacked first. I was just defending myself. What's the point of calling the police? Ha. My brother is in the force. If he says you assaulted someone, then you did. President Zhang dropped all pretense, his arrogance in full display. Li Zhao clenched his fists. This guy was blatantly twisting the truth. But he wasn't worried at all. After all, he wasn't just some nobody. He was under the protection of a major antagonist. The Chu family was just as powerful as the Zhu family, both billion-dollar corporations. Considering he had saved Chu Zhuang's life, even if this was deliberate injury instead of self-defense, they still wouldn't dare do anything to him. Li Zhao's parents, however, felt a sinking dread. Their worst fear had come true. Unaware of their son's true connections, their faces were filled with worry. Li Zhao's father stepped forward and demanded angrily, "How can you do this? You were the ones who started the fight. How can you blame my son?" Li Zhao's heart warmed. Even though his parents always scolded him for being reckless, they still cared deeply about him. He silently vowed. They were his parents now, and he wouldn't let anything happen to them. Ha. You can explain that to my brother, President Zhang scoffed. As soon as he finished speaking, police sirens blared in the distance. Moments later, a police car pulled up, and several officers stepped out. Brother. The green-haired leader grinned and approached the lead officer. I told you to stop causing trouble, the officer scolded his younger brother, clearly used to cleaning up after him. Where's the guy? It's him. He is crazy strong. Took down 7 or 8 guys on his own. Chairman Zhang pointed at Li Zhao. Pretty good at fighting, huh? What use is that these days? He dared to act tough in front of me. I'll show him the power of a gun. Officer Zhang scoffed and strode toward the Li family. Times had changed. These days, a gun spoke louder than fists. You're suspected of brawling. Come with us. Standing in front of Li Zhao, Officer Zhang spoke calmly. Why are you arresting him without even asking what happened? My son was acting in self-defense. Li's father blocked his way. You think I'm blind? Look at all the people lying on the ground. Officer Zhang frowned. Don't interfere with police work. Move, or I'll arrest you too. Dad, don't worry. So what if I go with them? They can't do anything to me. Li Zhao stopped his father from arguing and looked at the officers with a smile. He was completely unfazed. Solving this was just one phone call away. But he didn't call his brother, Chu Zhuang, just yet. These people had dared to mess with his family. They needed to be taught a lesson. Handcuffs. Once they were on, they wouldn't come off so easily. Arrest him. Officer Zhang waved his hand. His subordinates stepped forward, pulling out handcuffs to take Li Zhao away. Li's parents panicked but were helpless. They were just ordinary citizens. They had no idea how to handle this. If their son was taken to the station, it would go on his record and affect his future job prospects. How could they stop this from happening? Suddenly, Li's mother noticed her daughter, Li Yunshu, looking around anxiously. She slapped her forehead. How could she forget? President Zhu was about to arrive. They had to stall for time. President Zhu Hao of Zhu Corporation is on his way here. Let's see who dares take my son. A police officer holding the handcuffs froze. He looked at Officer Zhang, waiting for instructions. Officer Zhang was stunned. Who? President Zhu was coming? Seeing his doubt, Li's mother quickly added, my daughter works at Zhu Corporation. She's highly regarded by President Zhu and even has his contact information. The local thugs might not know Zhu Hao, but the new officer certainly did. Officer Zhang glanced at the girl standing nearby. Li Yunshu, delicate and beautiful. He had noticed her earlier. He had assumed she was just another one of her troublemaking brother's pursuits. But she worked for Zhu Corporation? Is what she said true? Officer Zhang looked at his brother, suspicion in his eyes. Chairman Zhang was equally confused. Officer, don't believe her nonsense. Look at them. Poor and desperate. How could they possibly know President Zhu? A green-haired thug jumped in. Oh? Is that so? A playful voice sounded. Lively crowd here. The voice was smooth and refined, like a breeze on a warm day. Everyone instinctively turned to look. A handsome man with a commanding presence approached, smiling. It was Zhu Hao. So, they really did know him? Officer Zhang stiffened and shot his brother a furious glare. You didn't even investigate properly before making a move? Now you've messed with the wrong person. Seeing Zhu Hao, Li Yunshu's face lit up. She ran toward him. Uncle Zhu. Li's parents were overjoyed. They finally breathed a sigh of relief. With Zhu Hao here, their son wouldn't be arrested. Though, wasn't President Zhu a little too young? Li Zhao's expression darkened. If he had known, he would have just called Chu Zhuang instead. He didn't want Zhu Hao's help at all. Watching his sister get close to Zhu Hao made him incredibly uncomfortable. What's going on? Zhu Hao asked Li Yunshu. She quickly explained, President Zhu, our home is being demolished, but the compensation is too low. We refused, so they tried to force us out. Li's mother stepped forward as well. President Zhu, thank goodness you're here. You have to help us. They tried to attack my son, and when he defended himself, they called the police to arrest him. She poured out her grievances, desperate to stop Li Zhao from being taken away. Don't worry. Yunshu is my employee. I will make sure justice is served. Zhu Hao smiled faintly and glanced subtly at Li Zhao in the distance. PR. President Zhu. Officer Zhang hurried over and respectfully addressed him. Explain. Zhu Hao's tone was calm and unbothered. Officer Zhang hesitated but then told the full story, even selling out his brother. In front of someone like Zhu Hao, there was no point in lying. President Zhu, we made a mistake. We didn't know they were connected to you. After explaining, he quickly apologized. So, if they weren't connected to me, you'd just do whatever you wanted? And no, we wouldn't dare. Wouldn't dare? You abuse power and act recklessly. What wouldn't you dare to do? Officer Zhang opened his mouth but said nothing, sweating nervously. President Zhu. At that moment, Chairman Zhang stepped forward, trembling. He had finally realized he had provoked someone he couldn't afford to offend. His heart pounded. What would happen now? You're the one trying to force them out? Zhu Hao's tone was unreadable. Though he smiled, Chairman Zhang felt an icy chill. And no. Chairman Zhang tried to explain. Zhu Hao's gaze swept over him, making him shudder. He couldn't bring himself to speak. Officer Zhang glared at his brother in frustration. Idiot. Couldn't he see that admitting his mistake was the only way out? The evidence was right there. Did he really think he could talk his way out of this? Zhu Hao wasn't listening to excuses. There was only one way forward, admit guilt and beg for mercy. President Zhu, I was wrong. I was greedy. I shouldn't have done something so despicable. Please, be the bigger person and spare me. Chairman Zhang's voice trembled as he pleaded. Then, gritting his teeth, he raised his hand and slapped himself. Hard. A crisp smack echoed through the silent air. The gang members of the Blade Society shivered, looking at Zhu Hao with deep fear. Just a few words, and their vice chairman was slapping himself? Too powerful. Whether or not you get spared isn't up to me. Zhu Hao spoke meaningfully. The Blade Society had been operating under Old Mo's instructions. They were merely a pawn in his greater scheme. Since they weren't his people, there was no need to show mercy. Chairman Zhang froze. He carefully processed Zhu Hao's words. Then it hit him. Zhu Hao was here to stand up for this family. That meant he needed their forgiveness. Although he didn't understand why Zhu Hao cared so much about an ordinary employee, he knew better than to question it. Zhu Hao had made his stance clear. He just had to follow along. His mind raced as he thought about how to earn the Li family's forgiveness. Then, his gaze landed on their old, worn-down house, and an idea struck him. His eyes lit up as he spoke. Madam, I sincerely apologize for my actions earlier. I was blind to the situation and should never have tried to force you. He stepped forward, bowed deeply, and spoke with genuine remorse. You're planning to relocate due to the demolition, right? How about this? I'll have the developer give you a villa in exchange. If you're not satisfied, you can opt for the full compensation instead. Consider this both an apology for my wrongdoing and compensation for your family. After making the offer, Chairman Zhang mentally patted himself on the back for his quick thinking. Weren't they negotiating for better compensation? Why not use this opportunity to gift them a house instead? This way, not only could he resolve the conflict, but he might also win Zhu Hao's favor. As for the villa being worth millions, he didn't care. If the chairman found out, he wouldn't object either. If this move secured Zhu Hao's support, It would be more than worth it. Hearing this, Lee's mother felt her heart skip a beat. Her breathing quickened. Even the cheapest villas cost several million, and he was just giving them one? Are you serious? She asked in disbelief. Of course. With President Zhu here, how could I possibly deceive you? Chairman Zhang forced a bitter smile before continuing, his face full of hope. I'll even have the villa fully furnished for you. It's a small matter. We'll take care of everything. When it's ready, you can move in immediately. Madam, please accept my apology. If you don't agree, I'll kneel right here. With that, he made a move to kneel. Lee's mother's heart pounded wildly. Just moments ago, she thought they were in deep trouble, yet now it felt like a blessing had fallen from the sky. Seeing him about to kneel, she quickly stopped him. Does this mean you accept? Chairman Zhang's eyes sparkled with relief. Well. Lee's mother hesitated, looking toward her family and Zhu Hao. Lee's father and Li Yunshu were equally stunned, unsure how to react. They had sought Zhu Hao's help, yet somehow, they had been handed an enormous gift. It was obvious. Chairman Zhang wasn't making this offer out of genuine remorse. He was only doing it because of Zhu Hao. Otherwise, just moments ago, he had been eager to throw them all in jail. Now, his attitude had flipped completely. Their house was worth at most 1 million in compensation. But now, they were being given a villa worth several million. The whole situation felt like a dream. Chapter 103. The Li family felt utterly confused, except for Li Zhao, who remained clear-headed. A villa? So what? Once he earned his first pot of gold, he would start his own business using the intel he had. A billion-dollar empire in the future wouldn't be a problem. Right now, he might not have money, but he had confidence. A few million meant nothing to him. Li Zhao didn't want his parents to accept Zhu Hao's generosity. Their family already felt deeply grateful toward Zhu Hao, praising him endlessly. If they took his gift as well, that would be a dangerous sign. Zhu Hao was still after his sister. What if, out of gratitude, she willingly threw herself into his arms? Besides, something about this situation felt off. He kept signaling his mother to refuse, but she completely ignored him. Well, at least there's some sincerity. We'll accept it then, she finally said after taking a deep breath. Zhu Hao had spoken, so she agreed. All right, I accept. Chairman Zhang's face lit up with joy as he exhaled in relief. Crisis averted. He made a mental note. Next time, he had to do thorough research. No, there wouldn't be a next time. He would be a better person. Mom, what are you doing? That's a villa worth millions. How can we accept it? Just as Chairman Zhang relaxed, a melodious voice rang out, making his heart leap again. He turned to see Li Yunshu walking over, looking at her mother with disapproval. This girl. She's the key. She was an employee at Zhu Hao's company. The whole reason Zhu Hao had come here in the first place. If she refused, all his efforts would be wasted. Chairman Zhang grew as anxious as an ant on a hot pan, afraid that saying the wrong thing would backfire. Fortunately, Li's mother spoke first. Oh, Yunshu, what does it matter if we accept it? He's only giving it to us because of Zhu Hao. It's not like we owe him anything. And you work for Zhu Hao. Just work hard to repay him later. If I ever hear you slacking off at his company, I won't forgive you. Besides, Zhu Hao has helped us so much. Right now, even inviting him over for a meal feels embarrassing in this old house. She looked at her daughter disapprovingly. There was something else she didn't say out loud. Even though she called her son useless, he was still family. Eventually, he would have to get married. A villa could make a potential bride's family think more highly of him. To Li's mother, Li Zhao had been fooling around outside without making anything of himself. Mom, how could you? Li Yunshu wanted to argue, but she had to admit her mother had a point. Frustrated by her mother's eagerness for money, she stomped her foot. She's right, Yunshu. Just accept it. Your family really does need a better house, Zhu Hao chimed in with a smile. Given Li Zhao's abilities and his standing with Chu Zhuang, upgrading their house was only a matter of time. And since someone else had gifted the villa to him, he barely had to lift a finger to make the Li family. And more importantly, Li Yunshu feel indebted to him. Why wouldn't he take advantage of this? Li Yunshu glanced at Zhu Hao, then lowered her head without saying another word. All right then, it's settled. I'll make the arrangements right away. You'll be able to move in within a few days, Zhu Hao declared, effectively ending the discussion. Chairman Zhang was thrilled. Just as everything seemed to be going smoothly, an untimely voice cut through the moment. I refuse. SHH. 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 Everyone turned in shock, their gazes snapping toward the source of the voice. Li Zhao had finally had enough. Ignoring their stunned expressions, he stepped forward. I don't agree. He refused to let his parents accept Zhu Hao's favor. A villa? It's not like I can't afford one myself. Just give me a few more months. Zhao, stop talking nonsense. Li's mother frowned at her useless son. If you were more capable, would I even have to worry about you finding a wife or buying a house? Why are you causing trouble now? Mom, we don't need handouts from outsiders. If you want a villa, I'll buy you one myself in a few months. Li Zhao's voice was filled with confidence. Zhu Hao watched with an amused expression. Did he really think all the goodwill I built up and all the times I helped Li Yunshu meant nothing? Sure enough, Li's mother spoke again. Zhao, how could you say that? Zhu Hao isn't an outsider. Zhu Hao was her daughter's boss. He had taken great care of her. Ever since they told people that Yunshu had joined Zhu Corporation and was personally noticed by Zhu Hao, the admiration and envy from others had been overwhelming. Even their relatives, who had distanced themselves, suddenly started calling again, offering praise and trying to get closer. For the past few weeks, she and her husband had been basking in the attention. And it was all thanks to Zhu Hao. Now, when her useless son called Zhu Hao an outsider, Li's mother wouldn't stand for it. Zhao, shut your mouth. Zhu Hao is Yunshu's boss. How can you speak like that? He's helped Yunshu so many times, and when he heard we were in trouble, he even came personally. How can you call him an outsider? Li Zhao opened his mouth to argue, but before he could, his father walked over, looking displeased. You all. Li Zhao stared blankly at his parents. All he did was say a few words, and they immediately turned on him. He never expected his family to defend Zhu Hao this much. Damn it. He glared at Zhu Hao, hatred burning in his eyes. Ding. Li Zhao is furious. Emotion value plus 963. Li Zhao? Brother Zhao, long time no see. Zhu Hao smiled slightly. Li Zhao gritted his teeth in frustration. Just looking at Zhu Hao's composed, indifferent expression made him angry. This fake persona. How many clueless women had fallen for it? You two know each other? Li's mother asked in surprise. We met once. Zhu Hao chuckled. Li's mother didn't ask further. She assumed her useless son must have misunderstood Zhu Hao from that one meeting. The entire family agreed. Li Zhao's objections didn't matter. The matter was settled. The Zhang brothers quickly said their goodbyes to Zhu Hao and left in embarrassment with their men. President Zhu, we really don't know how to thank you. If you hadn't come, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Li's parents looked at Zhu Hao with sincere gratitude. Those men had been planning to take away their useless son, and if he had a criminal record, his future would have been ruined. It was nothing. Those guys only bully the weak. I already told Yunshu that if she ever runs into trouble, she should contact me. Yunshu is my employee, and I think highly of her abilities, so of course, I'll look out for her. Zhu Hao spoke with his usual calm demeanor. To prevent them from questioning anything, he subtly provided an explanation. As for whether the protagonist knew the truth, what difference would it make? Li's parents suddenly understood. No wonder. No wonder Zhu Hao cared so much about their daughter. It was because he valued her abilities. Being recognized by her boss. Wouldn't that mean Yunshu could soon rise to a high position in Zhu Corporation? That would be incredible. Suppressing their excitement, Li's mother warmly invited him. President Zhu, thank you for appreciating Yunshu's talents. I'll make sure she works hard. By the way, you must not have eaten yet, right? Since you're already here, why don't you join us for a meal? Yunshu and I will cook right away. Li's parents looked at Zhu Hao expectantly. He had helped their family so much. They wanted to do something to show their gratitude. Well, then I'll take you up on your offer. Zhu Hao pretended to hesitate before agreeing. Li Zhao stood frozen in place, his mind in chaos. Then, his gaze became firm. I don't know what you're planning, but if you try to harm my family, I'll fight you to the death. Ding. Li Zhao is gritting his teeth in rage. Emotion value plus 852. There were plenty of ingredients at home, so before long, a delicious meal was prepared. Li's father even brought out his treasured Nuerhong wine. He had originally planned to save it for Yunshu's wedding day. But since Zhu Hao was here, and they had nothing else special to offer, he decided to open it now. President Zhu, this was made by Yunshu herself. She's a better cook than I am. Please try it. Li's mother was exceptionally warm toward Zhu Hao. She even gave her daughter a look, signaling her to serve him some food. Li Yunshu hesitated. After a moment of thought, remembering how much Zhu Hao had helped her, she bit her lip, picked up her chopsticks, and placed some food on his plate. President Zhu, how does it taste? Watching him take a bite of fish, she nervously asked. Yunshu, your cooking is quite good. Zhu Hao praised her culinary skills. Really? Li Yunshu beamed. At that moment, all her years of cooking felt worth it. Then have some more, Uncle Zhu. She continued serving him food. On the other side, Li Zhao sat gloomily, watching his family fawn over Zhu Hao. He felt like coughing up blood. His sister, Li Yunshu, was personally serving Zhu Hao without hesitation. Li Zhao's pupils shrank. I have to stop this immediately. If he didn't, given Zhu Hao's charm and experience in seducing women, his sister would fall deeper and deeper until she couldn't escape. Ding. Li Zhao is burning with anger. Emotion value plus 987. After the meal, Li's father was already drunk. Zhu Hao and Li Zhao, both having strong constitutions, were completely fine. Thank you for the hospitality. It's getting late. I should head back. Zhu Hao glanced at the sky and bid farewell to the Li family. Alright. Our house is a bit messy, so we won't insist that you stay. Yunshu, see President Zhu out. Li's mother didn't insist on keeping him. If it were anyone else, she might have invited them to stay and rest. But Zhu Hao's status was too high, and looking at their humble home, she felt embarrassed. Mom, I'll go instead, Li Zhao immediately said. I had some conflicts with President Zhu before. I want to take this chance to apologize. How could he let his sister be alone with Zhu Hao? What if Zhu Hao made some unreasonable demands, and his sister, out of gratitude, found it hard to refuse? That would be a disaster. That's fine too. President Zhu is a good man. Stop being so paranoid and properly apologize to him, Li's father said. He had noticed the tension between them but didn't know the details or how to resolve it. Unexpectedly, his useless son showed some self-awareness, so he gave him a few words of advice. Li Yunshu, however, looked disappointed, seemingly unhappy that she wasn't the one sending Zhu Hao off. The night was beautiful. The full moon hung high, and the stars sparkled in the sky. As Zhu Hao walked outside, Li Zhao followed closely behind. Before they knew it, they reached a car, where Bei Ling sat inside, watching coldly. Wait. Just as Zhu Hao was about to get in, Li Zhao stopped him. Here it comes. Zhu Hao smirked slightly and turned back without revealing any emotion. Brother Zhao, what's the matter? Zhu Hao, drop the act. Let's be direct. Li Zhao took a deep breath. What will it take for you to leave my sister alone? What do you mean? I don't quite understand. Zhu Hao feigned confusion. Is this fun for you? There's no one else here. Aren't you tired of pretending? You schemed against my sister, staged this whole hero saving the damsel act. Wasn't it all for her? Li Zhao stared straight at Zhu Hao, trying to read his expression. But he was disappointed. Zhu Hao's face remained calm, without the slightest ripple. Li Zhao was convinced that even this forced eviction was orchestrated by Zhu Hao. In the novel, he was just a side character with little presence. Since he had been following the Chu family father and son, it was unlikely his family had faced trouble before. Yet now, the Li family was caught in a conflict over demolition, even reaching a breaking point. If something similar had happened before, his past self wouldn't have ignored it. Of course, it was also possible he had dealt with it, but the novel didn't mention it. So he wanted to catch any sign of change in Zhu Hao's eyes. You're overthinking. Zhu Hao gave him a sidelong glance but didn't admit anything. Ding. Li Zhao is furious. Emotion value plus 876. Li Zhao clenched his fists in frustration. Still pretending. If he hadn't seen how Zhu Hao seduced his beautiful landlady before, he might have been fooled. He didn't want to see Zhu Hao's fake face anymore. In a cold voice, he said, just tell me. What will it take for you to leave my sister alone? If that's all you want to talk about, then this conversation is over. Zhu Hao scoffed and turned to leave. Zhu Hao, you wouldn't want your threats against sister-in-law Yao Zhenruai to reach brother Chu Zhuang's ears, would you? As Zhu Hao was about to leave, Li Zhao blurted out the threat in desperation. He didn't want to bring this up unless absolutely necessary. Even saying it made him feel terrible. Yao Zhenruai was a woman he had his eyes on, but Zhu Hao had stolen her away. He hated it. Zhu Hao stopped mid-step. Li Zhao took a deep breath and met Zhu Hao's gaze. Don't think I don't know what you and sister-in-law did outside that day at the Chu family's place. If you leave my sister alone, whether you fire her or just keep your distance, I won't tell Chu Zhuang about it. Zhu Hao turned around and let out a light chuckle. And what if you do tell him? Go ahead. Do you think I'm afraid of him? Li Zhao froze for a moment. Then, remembering Zhu Hao's status, he understood. Both had billion-dollar assets. Who would be scared of whom? But still, even if Zhu Hao wasn't afraid of Chu Zhuang, didn't he care about his reputation? Then what do you want? I'll agree to anything, as long as you don't hurt my sister. Li Zhao's tone softened in frustration. He wanted nothing more than to kill Zhu Hao, but knowing that he had skilled bodyguards around him, he'd probably die before getting close. He was still too weak. There is something you can help with. Zhu Hao smirked. Li Zhao's attitude today had revealed his biggest weakness. He deeply cared about his family. Controlling the protagonist would be easy now. In the future, when he fulfilled his arrangement with Yao Xinruai, he needed someone to cover for him so that Chu Zhuang wouldn't find out. Li Zhao was the perfect candidate. Seeing Zhu Hao's eerie smile, Li Zhao felt an ominous premonition. What do you want from me? I'll let you know when I've decided. With that, Zhu Hao got into his car and drove off. Li Zhao stood there, utterly lost. Chapter 104 Li Zhao returned home, looking utterly dejected. His family had been waiting for him, and the moment he stepped inside, his mother eagerly asked, "Zhao, what happened? Did you apologize to President Zhu? Did he forgive you?" His father was just as concerned. After all, Zhu Hao had helped them a lot. If anyone in their family resented him, it would be utterly disgraceful. But Li Yunshu didn't care in the slightest. She had never been close to her younger brother, even as kids. And after he started fooling around outside, their relationship grew even more distant. That was fine. Living under the same roof but minding their own business. But now, Li Zhao was constantly doubting and suspecting Zhu Hao, the very man who had helped her. That crossed the line. She was completely disappointed in him. She didn't care about anything related to him anymore. Seeing the anticipation in his parents' eyes, Li Zhao felt bitter. How much did they want him to submit to Zhu Hao? No. He couldn't let Zhu Hao's influence continue spreading in their minds. So he said, "No, I apologized, but President Zhu refused to forgive me." His parents sighed in disappointment. They didn't blame Zhu Hao. They blamed their own useless son, who must have offended him somehow. Li Zhao had no other choice. If he badmouthed Zhu Hao now, his family would immediately turn against him. So he had to start subtly. Keeping things neutral at first, then slowly sowing doubt. But just then, Li Yunshu's voice rang out. "You're lying." She frowned and stared at him coldly. "Uncle Zhu is such a good person. During dinner, he treated you just like everyone else. He even drank with you. How could he possibly reject your apology? You didn't apologize at all, did you?" Li Zhao was stunned. He hadn't even said anything bad about Zhu Hao, yet she was already refuting him? It seemed Zhu Hao had left a deep impression on her. That was dangerous. If Zhu Hao so much as beckoned, his sister might throw herself at him willingly. Alarmed, Li Zhao realized he needed a plan to protect his sister from getting hurt. For a moment, he froze. His parents, on the other hand, were dumbfounded. They recalled Zhu Hao's polite and humble demeanor. Even with their poor status, he never put on airs. At the dinner table, he hadn't shown any hostility toward Li Zhao at all. If anything, it was Li Zhao who held resentment against him. Looking at Li Zhao's guilty expression, they finally understood. Not only had he not apologized, but he had also deliberately misled them. Unforgivable. Given how much he resented Zhu Hao, who knew if he had even insulted him outside? Their faces darkened. Li Yunshu was already thinking about moving out. She didn't want to see this useless brother every day. Their mother, fuming with rage, pointed at Li Zhao and shouted, "You brat! I should never have had any expectations for you. A loser is a loser. Only fit to hang around with thugs." Their father, sobering up slightly from his drunken state, was furious. He had been the one who allowed Li Zhao to escort Zhu Hao, even advising him to apologize properly. And now he found out his son had lied? Overwhelmed with anger, he grabbed a feather duster nearby. Storming up to Li Zhao, he beat him mercilessly. "Useless fool. No skills to speak of, and now you're a liar too? You don't even listen to me anymore? Let's see if I don't beat some sense into you today." He was still drunk and didn't hold back. Even with Li Zhao's mid-stage martial arts training, he still felt the pain. But he remained silent. His father only stopped when he was too exhausted to continue. Li Zhao, no longer pretending, decided to try one last time. "Don't you think today's events were strange?" he asked. "Those guys changed the demolition payout on a whim. Weren't they afraid we'd report them? And right at the crucial moment, Zhu Hao just happened to step in and help us?" His parents and sister widened their eyes in shock. Was he suggesting that Zhu Hao had staged the entire incident? Bang! Li Yunshu immediately stormed back to her room and slammed the door shut. She had no patience for his nonsense. His father, who had been catching his breath, suddenly found more energy and launched another round of beatings. This time, his mother didn't even try to stop him. She grabbed a bamboo strip and joined in the beating. The next morning, Li Yunshu left early for work. What she didn't realize was that someone was following her. It was her brother, Li Zhao. He was worried something might happen to her on the way to work. Or worse, that Zhu Hao might heroically save her again. Since he had the day off, he decided he might as well escort her. It wouldn't take long anyway. After yesterday's events, he was deeply concerned. His sister's goodwill towards Zhu Hao had grown tremendously after he helped their family. If Zhu Hao wanted to make a move on her, it would likely be soon. Li Zhao had to stay vigilant. Reality wasn't like those cliché stories where the hero always won. Li Yunshu arrived at Zhu Corporation without any trouble. Coincidentally, Zhu Hao also arrived at the company at the same time, and the two ran into each other. Li Zhao had been following his sister the entire way. Now that she had safely reached the office, he was ready to go find that brainless villain. But the moment he spotted Zhu Hao, his heart tightened. His steps faltered, and he stopped in his tracks. Not seeing any other employees around, Li Yunshu switched to a more intimate form of address. "Good morning, Uncle Zhu." "Yunshu, work hasn't started yet, has it? You come in early every day?" Ever since acquiring the Liu family's new energy vehicle company, Zhu Hao had been expanding its production. He had hired numerous experts and professors to research advanced technology, including smart driving and energy efficiency. Just yesterday, there had been a major breakthrough in their research, so he had decided to drop by today. Otherwise, why would he be here so early in the morning? Wouldn't it be much more enjoyable to wake up in the embrace of a stunning stepmother instead? Li Yunshu replied obediently, "I'm still new here and unfamiliar with a lot of things. Coming in early helps me adapt quickly and get into work mode." Zhu Hao looked at her. "You just joined. Take your time to adjust. There's no need to rush." Li Yunshu nodded lightly. But in her heart, she thought, Uncle Zhu values me so much. How could I take it slow? If she didn't work hard, she wouldn't be able to forgive herself. Just then, Zhu Hao let out a soft "tsk." Before she could react, she felt two hands on her shoulders. Stunned, she looked up and saw Zhu Hao leaning in. His deep eyes locked onto hers. His chiseled face was so close, and his masculine scent enveloped her. Her heartbeat quickened out of nowhere. Uncle Zhu, what's wrong? Is there something on my face?" She tried to joke, hoping it would ease her nervousness. But Zhu Hao's next words caught her completely off guard. "There actually is." With a flick of his fingers, he retrieved a flower petal from his spatial storage. He reached out, gently touching her head, as if plucking the petal from her hair. "See?" Zhu Hao opened his palm and presented the petal before her. Li Yunshu froze. She must have walked under a tree, and the petal had fallen onto her head. For a second, she had thought Uncle Zhu was about to kiss her. But that wasn't the case. Then why did she feel oddly disappointed? Ding. Li Yunshu's heartbeat accelerates, emotional value plus 654. Ding. Li Zhao is furious, emotional value plus 987. From a distance, Li Zhao clenched his teeth so hard they nearly cracked. He had been watching his sister and Zhu Hao closely. When Zhu Hao suddenly leaned in, he assumed he was trying to take advantage of her and was ready to intervene. Rage boiled inside him. He knew it. Zhu Hao had never had good intentions. After gaining his sister's trust, he wasted no time in making a move. Just as Li Zhao was about to shout, "Let go of my sister," he saw Zhu Hao pull a petal from her hair. Li Zhao hesitated, stopping mid-step. So it was just a misunderstanding? Wait. Something wasn't right. Li Zhao had followed his sister the entire way. With his heightened perception as a martial artist, there was no way he could have missed a petal on her head. Ruling out all other possibilities, there was only one explanation. Zhu Hao had put the petal there himself. More precisely, he had staged the entire moment, pretending to remove it. And combined with how he suddenly leaned in, he understood. Zhu Hao was testing his sister. After repeatedly saving her and gaining her favor, he was now pushing boundaries with these small interactions. If she didn't resist, the next step would be a real kiss. Shameless. Despicable. Scum. Li Zhao's fists clenched, his eyes burning with fury. He wanted nothing more than to beat Zhu Hao to the point where he couldn't function. He wanted to rush up and warn his sister that this was all part of Zhu Hao's scheme. But then he remembered her attitude toward him. She wouldn't believe him. Without evidence, he would only make her hate him more. Frustration built up inside him. He knew it was a trap, yet he couldn't do anything about it. The helplessness nearly suffocated him. Thank you, Uncle Zhu. Realizing she had misunderstood, Li Yunshu blushed and thanked him. She avoided his gaze, unable to look him in the eye. Zhu Hao smiled slightly. Li Zhao had been spot on. He was indeed testing the heroine. And since the protagonist was lurking nearby, this was also a perfect chance to farm some emotional value. Just be more careful next time, Zhu Hao said with a chuckle. But honestly, that flower on your head looked quite nice. Li Yunshu froze. Her heart was still racing from earlier, and now Zhu Hao was complimenting her? For some reason, it felt different than before. Her cheeks turned even redder. Zhu Hao, knowing when to stop, left it at that. Today's test of the little heroine was about enough. Zhu Hao spoke gently. Alright, Yunshu, go ahead and get to work. Don't overwork yourself. If you have any questions, ask King. Okay, Li Yunshu stammered slightly. Just as she was about to leave, she noticed the flower petal in Zhu Hao's hand and paused. Uncle Zhu, can I have that petal? That petal had made her heart race earlier. She wanted to keep it as a bookmark. Take it. Li Yunshu accepted the petal and shyly ran into the company building. Zhu Hao stroked his chin, lost in thought. Ding. Li Yunshu's heart flutters, emotional value plus 852. Ding. Li Zhao is seething with rage, emotional value plus 963. Seeing the system's notifications, Zhu Hao withdrew his gaze and looked toward the distant corner. Li Zhao snapped out of his fury. Had Zhu Hao noticed him? But so what? He had every right to be angry. Zhu Hao was flirting with his sister. Just then, he saw Zhu Hao beckon him over. Li Zhao hesitated for a moment before walking forward. Zhao, didn't you say yesterday that I could come to you if I needed help? Well, I've thought of something. Zhu Hao spoke bluntly, leaving Li Zhao momentarily stunned. What was with the casual Zhao like they were close? They weren't friends. In fact, they were sworn enemies. Zhu Hao had stolen 2 of the women he liked. His sister-in-law and the beautiful landlady. And now, he was trying to take his sister too. If Li Zhao were strong enough, he would have torn Zhu Hao to pieces by now. He forced himself to stay calm. Slowly, he recalled that last night, he had indeed told Zhu Hao that as long as he left his sister alone, he would do anything. Did this mean Zhu Hao was agreeing to that condition? But then why had he just been flirting with his sister? Could he really be planning to make Li Zhao work for him while continuing to pursue Yunshu? How could someone be this shameless? Taking a deep breath, suppressing the urge to kill, Li Zhao spoke in a low voice. Are you sure you'll leave my sister alone? Keep your distance and stop interfering in her life? Zhu Hao thought for a moment and replied, of course. I always stick to my principles. If I ask you to do something, that means I've agreed to your condition. Zhu Hao, whose dictionary didn't even contain the word principles, spoke with absolute confidence. Li Zhao let out a cold snort of disbelief. If you've already decided not to go after my sister, then why were you flirting with her just now? Don't think I don't know that flower petal was your trick. Zhu Hao denied it smoothly. I think you're misunderstanding. Li Zhao sneered. This scheming old fox. Who would believe him? Zhu Hao, unconcerned with Li Zhao's suspicions, continued, as long as you get the job done, I'll have your sister fired. After that, whatever happens is out of my hands. Fire my sister? Li Zhao's heart stirred. If Yunshu got fired, she and Zhu Hao wouldn't see each other anymore. Their age gap was already a barrier. Distance would only make their relationship fade. By the time he grew strong enough, he could protect her himself. He never believed that Zhu Hao would truly let his sister go. But he did believe in his own ability to grow stronger. All he needed to do was buy time. How can I trust you? What if I do what you ask, and you go back on your word? Li Zhao eyed Zhu Hao with deep suspicion. The man had already seduced his sister and the young girl Zhao Wanling. He was clearly no good. I swear on my honor. Zhu Hao declared confidently. That's it. Li Zhao had never trusted empty promises. Especially not from a man like Zhu Hao. Did he even have honor? But despite his doubts, Li Zhao had no choice. Zhu Hao held all the power right now. He dictated the terms. All Li Zhao could do was hope Zhu Hao would keep his word. Taking a deep breath, he furrowed his brows. What do you want me to do? It's simple. I've got my eye on your sister. When the time comes, you. Chapter 105. When I ask your sister out, you help me cover for it. As soon as Zhu Hao finished speaking, Li Zhao's eyes widened in shock, completely dumbfounded. He never expected Zhu Hao to come up with such a scheme. Pursuing his sister-in-law, dating her, and making him cover for it. Is this even something a person would do? Li Zhao was instantly furious. After all, his sister-in-law, Yao Xinruai, was also the woman he had set his sights on. Now, not only would he have to watch Zhu Hao flirt with his goddess, but he also had to help cover for them. Just thinking about it made his chest tighten with pain. Li Zhao glared at Zhu Hao coldly, his voice filled with anger. Impossible. But then, fear crept into his heart. What if Zhu Hao got annoyed and turned his attention toward his own sister instead? He hesitated for a moment before sighing. I can't do it. Chu Zhuang has assigned someone to protect her, someone whose strength is almost equal to mine. I can't even get close to her. How do you expect me to cover for you? Zhu Hao smirked. You don't need to worry about that. I'll take care of the bodyguard in the shadows. As for who Chu Zhuang assigns next, that's up to you. I trust your standing in your brother's eyes. Chu Zhuang was no fool. Though he wasn't much of a fighter himself, He had secretly placed a trusted bodyguard to protect and monitor his wife, both as a safeguard and as a means of control. After all, he didn't want to wake up one day to find himself publicly humiliated. In truth, Zhu Hao didn't even need Li Zhao to cover for him. All he had to do was buy off or threaten the bodyguard. But it was more fun to make the protagonist watch. Not only would he be able to date the female lead, but he'd also stir up intense emotions in the protagonist. Double the pleasure. Who could resist that? Li Zhao's face twisted in conflict. This was his sister-in-law. She had the looks, the figure, and an air of elegance that made her irresistible. And yet, not only could he not have her, but he also had to help Zhu Hao get her? The mere thought of it was unbearable. His expression shifted between hesitation and pain. If you don't agree, that's fine, Zhu Hao said casually. I'll just go find your sister instead. She seems like a sweet and innocent girl. With that, he turned and walked toward the company. Li Zhao snapped back to reality. Seeing Zhu Hao about to leave, he gritted his teeth and called out, "Wait." Zhu Hao stopped, a smirk playing at his lips. Li Zhao clenched his fists, closed his eyes in pain, and forced out the words, "I'll do it." Between his gentle sister and his alluring sister-in-law, he chose the former. Good. Go back and wait for my instructions. But Li Zhao remained in place, his gaze sharp and filled with hostility. I'll help you, but if you dare go after my sister, I'll drag you down with me, no matter the cost. Relax, Zhu Hao chuckled. I always keep my word. If I betray you, you're welcome to tell Chu Zhuang and have him deal with me. Li Zhao laughed, his steps heavy with regret. Watching his retreating figure, Zhu Hao sneered coldly. When the time comes, you'll understand what it means for the fish to die. But the net to remain intact. Chu family villa. The atmosphere was tense and suffocating. Servants moved cautiously, afraid to make a single mistake. Chu Zhuang had just returned from the hospital after visiting his son. Chu Zioshan had regained consciousness, and the doctor said he only needed time to recover. Whoever attacked his son had held back. But that didn't mean Chu Zhuang would be grateful. He had already begun using the Chu family's power to retaliate against Sunny Electronics Corporation. After all, this all started because of that company's CEO, Lin Shuking. She had to be punished. Yet, Chu Zhuang still felt his actions weren't enough. Frowning deeply, he pondered his next move against Lin Shuking's company. Li Zhao followed behind him silently. Originally, Li Zhao had been assigned to protect Chu Zioshan, but now that the boy was hospitalized, it was a waste to keep him there. So, Chu Zhuang had recalled him. At least he could be of some use elsewhere. Just then, the sharp ring of a phone shattered the silence in the grand hall. Ring. 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 Boss, Sister Chen got caught up in a gang fight and was seriously injured. She won't be able to protect Madam for the time being. The voice on the other end made Chu Zhuang frown. Sister Chen was the bodyguard he had secretly assigned to protect and monitor Yao Xinruai. Though his marriage with Yao Xinruai was just a contract, they still had the title of husband and wife. And as long as they were married, he refused to let her get involved with any other man. If rumors spread that his wife was with someone else, people would assume that even a billionaire like him had been cheated on. That was something he would never allow. In reality, he probably didn't need to worry. For the past 10 years, Yao Xinruai had been completely proper, never interacting with any men. But still. After ending the call, Chu Zhuang's frown deepened. Sister Chen had no ties to any gangs, so why had she suddenly gotten involved in a gang fight? Did someone set their sights on his wife, Yao Xinruai? The thought surfaced out of nowhere. But Chu Zhuang quickly shook his head. It didn't seem logical. Li Zhao, with his keen senses and sharp hearing, had caught bits of the phone conversation. Curious, he asked, "Big brother, what happened?" Chu Zhuang glanced at him. He trusted this younger brother who had once saved his life. Without hesitation, he told Li Zhao about Yao Xinruai's bodyguard being gravely injured. Li Zhao's face remained calm, but inside, his heart sank. That was fast. There was no need to guess. This was definitely Zhu Hao's doing. What shocked him was how quickly Zhu Hao had acted. He had only mentioned it that morning, and by noon, he had already made his move. This alone proved how terrifying Zhu Hao's influence was. Until his own strength improved, he couldn't afford to provoke this man. Initially, Li Zhao had entertained the idea of nudging Chu Zhuang into dealing with Zhu Hao. But after witnessing Zhu Hao's capabilities firsthand, he abandoned that thought. It was better to play along and get the job done. Otherwise, Zhu Hao wouldn't just go after his sister. He might target his entire family. Big brother, this seems suspicious. Could someone be plotting against sister-in-law? His words struck a chord with Chu Zhuang. That exact concern had crossed his mind. Li Zhao spoke again, his voice firm. Big brother, let me protect sister-in-law. Even if I have to risk my life, I won't let anything happen to her. Chu Zhuang studied the loyal subordinate in front of him. He had no doubts about Li Zhao's loyalty. After all, this was the man who had once saved his life. Having him watch over Yao Zhenruai put his mind at ease. With his son still recovering in the hospital, there was no reason to keep Li Zhao at his side. A decision formed instantly. All right. Go find Yao Zhenruai and tell her I sent you. Report back to me. Tell me what she does, where she goes, and who she meets. It was clear he wasn't just sending Li Zhao to protect her. He was also making him spy on her. Li Zhao nodded expressionlessly. On the surface, he appeared indifferent, but inside, he felt like his heart was bleeding. Damn it. Did this big brother trust him too much? Just like that, he was assigned to watch over his sister-in-law. If Zhu Hao wasn't involved, wouldn't it be ridiculously easy for him to make a move on her? But now, the thought of covering for Zhu Hao while he pursued Yao Zhenruai made his chest ache. Zhengba Electronics Corporation, CEO's office. A woman in a sleek business suit, exuding an air of cold elegance and intelligence, sat in her office chair and picked up her phone. Yao Zhenruai frowned slightly at the unfamiliar number. After a brief hesitation, she answered. This is Yao Zhenruai. Who is this? A familiar voice came through the receiver, sending a chill down her spine. Sister-in-law, I hope you've been well. The voice haunted her nightmares. Zhu Hao. What do you want? I'm busy. If it's nothing important, I'm hanging up. She moved to press the end call button. She had nothing to say to Zhu Hao. This man was a complete fraud. Pretending to be refined and charitable in public while committing countless misdeeds in private. No one needed to tell her what kind of person Zhu Hao was. The way he had flirted with and threatened her, his own sister-in-law, was proof enough. But just as her finger hovered over the screen, his next words made her freeze. Surely, you haven't forgotten our 5-day agreement? Yao Zhenruai's expression changed instantly. Zhu Hao's voice remained calm. Dinner at 6. Don't be late. The line went dead. Ding. Yao Zhenruai feels furious. Emotion value plus 654. Zhu Group Headquarters, CEO's office. Zhu Hao toyed with his phone, amusement flickering in his eyes. For some reason, he was looking forward to tonight's dinner. Uncle Zhu. A delighted voice called from the adjoining bedroom. His CEO office was connected to a private suite. Originally meant for resting after long hours of work. In the past, he would use it for late nights at the office. Now, he shared his nights with different women, making the bedroom's original purpose obsolete. Instead, he had found a new use for it. Listening to Xiaoqing, his niece, report her work. She was still too inexperienced. Her reports ended too quickly. She lacked thoroughness. Once he had Li Yunshu, the protagonist's sister, under his control, perhaps he could have both women report together. That might improve efficiency. Xiaoqing emerged from the bedroom in her uniform, her face glowing with joy. Zhu Hao had just given her a cleansing pill after her report. It had washed away her fatigue and made her even more radiant. She ran up to him and threw herself into his arms. Uncle Zhu, thank you. You're the best. Ding. Xiaoqing feels immense gratitude. Emotion value plus 998. Zhu Hao smirked, playfully tapping her nose. If you know I'm good to you, how are you going to thank me? As Zhu Hao's second woman, he had no hesitation in giving her a cleansing pill. Once the pill was used, it also generated emotional value, which he could use for more draws. He could easily obtain 10 pills in a single draw. These things weren't in short supply. With enough draws, he would always get more. And sure enough. Another pill, another wave of emotional value harvested. After all, wool comes from the sheep itself. At the same time, Xiaoqing's affection for him skyrocketed. Hearing Zhu Hao ask for something in return, Xiaoqing shrank back slightly, a hint of fear in her eyes. Even though she had fully recovered, she didn't dare repeat what had just happened. Uncle Zhu was just too strong. She still had work to do, and if her clothes got dirty, it might raise suspicion. Then, her mind flashed back to that morning when Li Yunshu had came to her for advice. Xiaoqing's eyes sparkled. Uncle Zhu, I can't stay, but I can help you with something. Oh? And what's that? Zhu Hao asked, intrigued. Xiaoqing giggled mischievously. I can help you win over that little girl, Li Yunshu. She paused and let out a playful snort. Don't think I don't know what you're up to, Uncle Zhu. If even I wasn't spared, how could Li Yunshu, who's even more innocent, escape you? Zhu Hao chuckled. I think you're quite innocent yourself, King. Xiaoqing's face flushed as she rolled her eyes flirtatiously. Aren't you interested in Li Yunshu? We're good friends now. I can put in a good word for you when I'm with her. Honestly, I can already tell. She admires you a lot. She's just one step away from completely falling for you. I can help with that. Her expression turned unreadable as she mentioned one step. After all, it had only taken a bit of alcohol at her place for their moment to happen. Her father had been drunk, and Zhu Hao had taken the opportunity to claim her. Zhu Hao narrowed his eyes. You really think you can convince Yan Shu? Of course. We're really close. Xiaoqing beamed with confidence. If you can persuade Yan Shu, that means you have quite the silver tongue. Let's see just how sharp it is. Xiaoqing blinked in confusion, then lowered her head. Meanwhile, Yao Xinrui's office. Yao Xinrui stood frozen, her face dark with anger. Sister-in-law, are you okay? Li Zhao had arrived at Yao Xinrui's office, following Chu Zhuang's orders. He had overheard part of her phone conversation. It was Zhu Hao. Judging from Yao Xinrui's current state, there was no doubt. He had threatened her. Hatred surged in Li Zhao's heart. But he had to pretend he knew nothing. Yao Xinrui snapped out of her daze. Realizing someone else was in the room, she forced herself to stay composed. Her brows knitted together. You said Chu Zhuang sent you? Li Zhao nodded. Young master ran into trouble recently. Big brother is worried about your safety, so he sent me to protect you. Yao Xinrui sneered internally. Protect her? More like monitor her. After so many years, she knew exactly what kind of person Chu Zhuang was. She had long noticed someone tailing her, but she hadn't bothered exposing them. And now, he wasn't even bothering to hide it anymore. He was openly placing someone to watch her. Fine. You can leave now. She waved him off. She had no choice but to comply with Chu Zhuang's orders. But at this moment, she was in no mood to deal with anyone. Zhu Hao had just threatened her to uphold their agreement. Now, Chu Zhuang had sent someone to spy on her. Two disasters stacked on top of each other. It was a miracle she hadn't already lashed out. Time flew by. By 5 in the afternoon, Yao Xinrui made her way to the parking garage, ready to drive to her meeting with Zhu Hao. Li Zhao followed silently behind her. She turned and said coldly, I have plans tonight and need to get home early. You don't need to follow me. Sorry, sister-in-law. Big brother ordered me to stay with you until you return home. Her face darkened even more. Having to meet Zhu Hao was already a psychological burden for her. Especially with her aversion to men. And now, she had an extra obstacle in her way. Like a stubborn, smelly rock in a toilet. Disgusting and impossible to get rid of. Just as she was racking her brain for an excuse, Li Zhao suddenly spoke up. Sister-in-law, you're going to see Zhu Hao, aren't you? Yao Xinrui's face changed drastically. She whipped her head toward him. Sister-in-law, don't worry. I won't tell Big Brother. In fact, I'll even help you cover it up. Chapter 106. I'll cover for you. Hearing Li Zhao's words, Yao Xinrui was stunned. What was going on? He was Chu Zhuang's loyal follower. His sister-in-law was going on a date with another man, and not only did he not inform his boss, but he was also helping to cover for her? Yao Xinrui's expression shifted, unable to comprehend what was wrong with this guy that Chu Zhuang had sent over. Why? After a long pause, she finally voiced her doubts. Li Zhao opened his mouth but said nothing in the end. How was he supposed to explain? Should he admit that he had agreed to Zhu Hao's terms and sold her out? Since he remained silent, Yao Xinrui didn't bother asking any further. Li Zhao didn't look like he was lying, which reassured her. With no risk of her date being exposed, she could proceed with completing her 5-day agreement with Zhu Hao as soon as possible. At 6 o'clock. Following the location Zhu Hao had provided, Yao Xinrui arrived at a private restaurant. Li Zhao trailed behind her at a distance. She didn't refuse his presence. As long as he didn't inform Chu Zhuang, it was fine. Yao Xinrui had no idea what Zhu Hao was planning. Having someone follow her made her believe that Zhu Hao wouldn't dare to go too far. If she knew that Li Zhao was working for Zhu Hao, she wouldn't have thought that way. Li Zhao looked utterly miserable. The thought of Zhu Hao soon taking his sister-in-law made him feel like coughing up blood. If Zhu Hao liked his sister-in-law, why not go after her directly? Why drag him into this as a cover? This was truly psychological torment at its peak. They arrived at the reserved private dining room. Zhu Hao was already inside, waiting. When he saw Yao Xinrui walk in, he greeted her. Sister-in-law, you're here. Come, have a seat. Yao Xinrui pursed her lips. As she approached, Zhu Hao suddenly reached out and pulled her into the seat beside him. Watching this, Li Zhao felt a sharp pain in his chest. Clenching his teeth, he forced himself to act as if he hadn't seen anything. He then walked forward, preparing to sit down as well. But just as he was about to, Zhu Hao coughed lightly. A lackey should know their place. Since when do followers eat at the same table as their master? Stand by the side and wait. Chu Zhuang treated the protagonist like a brother, like family. But Zhu Hao? Not at all. By forcing Li Zhao to do his bidding, Zhu Hao wanted to humiliate him. Dinner? Keep dreaming. He was only allowed to watch as Zhu Hao enjoyed the meal with his sister-in-law. Li Zhao was dumbfounded. Wait, he wasn't even allowed to eat? Was he being treated like a servant from ancient times? His expression kept changing. Sitting down felt wrong, but so did standing up. Meanwhile, Zhu Hao sat extremely close to Yao Xinruai, his expression filled with amusement. Li Zhao's rage boiled over. He was just about to lose it. But then, thinking of his sister, Li Yunshu, he had no choice but to suppress his anger. Obediently, he stepped aside. Ding. Li Zhao is furious. Emotion value plus 862. Ding. Yao Xinruai feels anger rising. Emotion value plus 935. Yao Xinruai frowned. Wasn't Li Zhao Chu Zhuang's loyal follower? Why was he listening to Zhu Hao so obediently? She had thought that having someone else present would make Zhu Hao restrain himself. But reality didn't match her expectations. Mr. Zhu, you go ahead and eat. I'm not hungry. A strange uneasiness crept up inside her. Sitting this close to Zhu Hao made her uncomfortable. But with leverage in his hands, she didn't dare to show anger, making her feel utterly helpless. However, just as she finished speaking, her stomach suddenly growled twice. Both men instinctively turned to look at her. Yao Xinruai's lips twitched in embarrassment. Because of Zhu Hao's earlier phone call, she had been too upset to eat lunch. Now, with the rich aroma of the food filling the room, she really was hungry. She cursed her uncooperative stomach in frustration. This was humiliating. Sister-in-law, lying isn't good. Come on, eat a little. You'll need energy later. Zhu Hao casually patted her shoulder. Yao Xinruai's body stiffened. Feeling Zhu Hao's hand on her, her aversion to men flared up, filling her with disgust. And what did he mean by needing energy later? The implication was obvious. She had no way to refuse. If she didn't obey him, it wouldn't just be a pat on the shoulder. He might do something even worse. Left with no choice, Yao Xinruai reluctantly picked up her chopsticks. That's more like it. No need to be polite, sister-in-law. Zhu Hao smirked mockingly. Watching her submit to his will, unable to resist, made him feel a twisted sense of satisfaction. He truly was walking further down the path of a villain. Ding. Yao Xinruai feels anxious. Emotion value plus 753. Ding. Li Zhao's mindset collapses. Emotion value plus 999. Zhu Hao raised an eyebrow. Glancing at Li Zhao, he noted how shaken he looked. His mentality was already crumbling. Come on, little brother, you need to hold on. The night was just getting started. How much emotion value he could harvest today depended on him. Meanwhile, standing nearby, Li Zhao clenched his fists as he observed Zhu Hao's actions. Of course, he understood what Zhu Hao was implying. He was planning to completely take his sister-in-law tonight. Even though Li Zhao had mentally prepared himself when agreeing to Zhu Hao's conditions, he hadn't expected it to happen so soon. His sister-in-law was the first breathtaking beauty he had seen after transmigrating. He had vowed to win her over. But now, watching her being taken advantage of, knowing she would soon end up in bed with Zhu Hao, Li Zhao was devastated. His heart ached, twisting in pain. His mind was breaking, but it didn't affect Zhu Hao in the slightest. Zhu Hao continued eating as if nothing had happened. Even someone as powerful as him needed to replenish energy. After all, he had to give his sister-in-law a night to remember. He ate with great satisfaction. Yao Xinruai, seeing this, felt her own hunger grow. She hesitated at first, maintaining a reserved posture. But the private dishes were simply too delicious. Once she started eating, she couldn't stop. Meanwhile, the protagonist was practically drooling from hunger. Yao Xinruai was slightly better off since she had at least eaten breakfast. Li Zhao, on the other hand, had been suffering since morning. After sending his sister off and striking a deal with Zhu Hao, he had been so miserable that he hadn't eaten a single bite. He had originally planned to enjoy a feast tonight since Zhu Hao was footing the bill. But now, he wasn't even allowed to sit down? Was this even human behavior? His emotion value skyrocketed. Yao Xinruai finished her meal, still wanting more. At that moment, Zhu Hao suddenly reached out with a napkin, slowly bringing it to her lips. Clearly intending to wipe them for her. She followed his arm upward and saw Zhu Hao smiling at her. Sis-in-law, slow down. No one's fighting you for food. You've turned into a little messy cat, he teased, gently wiping her lips. Yao Xinruai froze. In her mind, Zhu Hao had always been a devil, yet now he was being so gentle. She wasn't used to it at all. Wait a minute. Why was Zhu Hao being so kind? Immediately, she became alert. Sure enough, what she feared happened. After wiping the corner of her mouth, Zhu Hao smirked and said teasingly, Sis-in-law, I helped you. Shouldn't you show some appreciation? Yao Xinruai felt completely uncomfortable. If she remembered correctly, Zhu Hao was even older than her. Yet, he kept calling her sis-in-law. It felt strange. But she didn't dare to protest and could only let him be. Show appreciation? How? She looked at him in confusion. That was when she noticed a bit of oil on the corner of Zhu Hao's lips. A realization hit her. Was he asking her to wipe his mouth too? After a moment of hesitation, she clenched her teeth. Wiping his mouth wasn't a big deal. It was better than him dragging her to a hotel. Since she couldn't escape the 5-day agreement, she figured she should delay things as much as possible. She took out a napkin and leaned forward, but she was too far away to reach. So, she stood up and moved closer. Just as she reached him, she suddenly tripped, losing control and falling forward. Ah! Yao Xinruai gasped in shock, her face turning pale. She thought she was going to hit the ground. But she didn't. Zhu Hao had caught her. His arm wrapped around her waist and, with a light pull, she tumbled right into his arms. And, just like that, ended up sitting on his lap. Yao Xinruai was so startled that her face went white. Like grabbing onto a lifeline, she instinctively wrapped her arms around Zhu Hao's neck. Only when she calmed down did she realize her situation. She was sitting on Zhu Hao's lap, holding on to him. Her face turned red instantly, and she quickly tried to get up. But Zhu Hao held her tight, not letting go. Sis-in-law, were you about to wipe my mouth? Be careful not to hurt yourself. If you get hurt, I'd be worried, he said in a sickeningly sweet tone. Yao Xinruai glared at him, furious. This guy still wasn't letting go. Seeing his expression, she knew if she didn't respond, he wouldn't release her. Helplessly, she nodded. But Zhu Hao smirked even more. I'm not done eating yet. Why would I need my mouth wiped? Then. Yao Xinruai cursed in her heart. If you're not done eating, then what the hell do you want me to do? Zhu Hao's eyes glowed with amusement. I want you to feed me. Yao Xinruai was stunned. She stared at him in disbelief, wondering if she had misheard. Feed you? Are you a child? But she knew Zhu Hao was just messing with her. Yao Xinruai was furious. She wanted to throw the chopsticks and leave, but she couldn't. Zhu Hao held something over her. She had no choice but to obey. Taking a deep breath, she picked up the chopsticks and began feeding him. Damn it! Li Zhao's eyes burned with rage, his face twisted in anger. His heart trembled with frustration. As an outsider watching, he saw everything clearly. Zhu Hao had deliberately tripped Yao Xinruai, blatantly taking advantage of her. Right now, Li Zhao wanted nothing more than to charge forward and kill Zhu Hao. Only his last shred of reason held him back. He watched helplessly as Yao Xinruai sat in Zhu Hao's arms, feeding him with chopsticks. Looking even more intimate than a real couple. Zhu Hao, enjoying the moment, felt completely satisfied. While he was having the time of his life, Yao Xinruai felt suffocated with frustration. And Li Zhao? His lungs were about to explode. Ding. Yao Xinruai feels anxious. Emotion points plus 842. Ding. Li Zhao is consumed by rage. Emotion points plus 997. Finally, the meal ended. Zhu Hao ate his fill. At first, Yao Xinruai had been extremely uncomfortable, but as time passed, she gradually got used to it. As for Li Zhao, his suffering? Who could he even talk to about it? The pain was worse than death. Li Zhao kept his head down, clenching his fists, afraid that if he saw Zhu Hao's smug face, he wouldn't be able to stop himself from punching him. As the mastermind behind everything, Zhu Hao saw it all clearly. But he didn't care in the slightest. The real show was just beginning. He hoped the protagonist could hold on. Dinner ended. Zhu Hao planned to take Yao Xinruai out for a walk, then a movie. It was going to be a long night. Ring, 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 ring. Li Zhao, starving and gritting his teeth, was about to follow them when his phone rang. It was his older brother, Chu Zhuang. His heart tightened. He quickly adjusted his emotions. His role was clear. To cover for Zhu Hao and Yao Xinruai. A strong thought surged in his mind, tell Chu Zhuang everything Zhu Hao had done to his wife. Let him see how his good friend was treating her. But he held back. If he spilled the truth, at most, Zhu Hao would fall out with the Chu family. But nothing serious would happen to him. Li Zhao, on the other hand, would be doomed. Zhu Hao would definitely retaliate, and his sister would be the first target. Taking a deep breath, he answered the call. Zhao, how's Xinruai? Chu Zhuang's voice came through. Li Zhao glanced at Yao Xinruai, who was still in Zhu Hao's arms. How was she? She was practically cuddling up to him. His heart twisted in pain, but he forced himself to stay calm. Big brother, she's the same as always. We just finished dinner and are heading home. Chu Zhuang trusted his most loyal subordinate. Good. Follow her home and make sure she's safe. You can't leave after that. Pick her up again in the morning. Don't worry, big brother. I'll protect her and make sure nothing happens to her. Li Xiao hung up, bitterness washing over him. He wanted to protect her, but he was powerless. Zhu Hao was a complete bastard. The bustling streets were alive with light and chatter. Zhu Hao and Yao Xinruai walked side by side. Zhu Hao was in a great mood, while Yao Xinruai kept her brows furrowed, lost in thought. Today had been surreal. She had never been this close to a man before. Even with Chu Zhuang, their marriage was purely an agreement. They had never been intimate, never even touched. Her aversion to men made this unbearable. Yet, because Zhu Hao knew her secret, she had no choice but to go along with him. What else did he have planned? Uneasy, Yao Xinruai followed as they chose a quieter street to avoid being recognized. Before she knew it, they had reached the riverside and stopped. Lanterns hung all around, casting a mesmerizing glow. Zhu Hao noticed several people taking pictures in the distance. An idea struck him. He glanced back. Sure enough, Li Xiao was still following like a shadow, his eyes burning with rage. Zhu Hao smirked and waved him over. A casual, commanding gesture, as if summoning a pet. Li Xiao's face darkened. He looked like he had just swallowed something disgusting, but he still walked up to them. The scenery is beautiful tonight, and I'm in a great mood. Take a picture for us, Zhu Hao ordered. Li Xiao froze. What did he mean? Did he really just ask him to take a picture? Of him and Yao Xinruai? A couple's photo? Li Xiao's expression stiffened, his lips twitching. It was bad enough that Zhu Hao was messing with his sister-in-law and forcing him to cover for them. Now he had to take their intimate photo? How much worse could this get? You have a problem with that? Zhu Hao raised an eyebrow. No. Li Xiao swallowed his anger and nodded. Zhu Hao turned to Yao Xinruai and pulled her slightly closer. Sis-in-law, it's such a beautiful night. Let's take a picture to remember it. Yao Xinruai was speechless. What kind of relationship did they have that they needed to take a photo together? She wanted to refuse. If this picture got out and Xu Zhuang saw it, she'd be in serious trouble. But she had no choice. If Zhu Hao got upset and exposed her embezzlement, she'd be completely ruined. Since she stayed silent, Zhu Hao took it as agreement. He led her to a large parasol tree by the river. Dazed, Yao Xinruai let herself be pulled along. Then, she felt his arm tighten around her waist, holding her against him. Zhu Hao turned to the camera, flashing a bright smile. Li Xiao's heart bled. Zhu Hao had stolen his goddess. And now, he was making him take their picture. He was inhuman. And that smirk nearly made Li Xiao lose it. He was mocking him. Chapter 107. Li Xiao took a deep breath, forcing down the urge to kill. Gritting his teeth, he picked up the camera and started taking pictures. He had learned photography in his past life. His skills were decent. A true protagonist, mastering every possible skill. Zhu Hao took the camera and nodded in satisfaction. He had taken dozens of shots, all of them with him and Yao Xinruai pressed intimately together, like a couple. The more Li Xiao clicked, the more suffocated he felt. Even Yao Xinruai's forced smile was starting to crack. Thankfully, Zhu Hao finally announced that this would be the last one. This time, they sat on a bench. Zhu Hao wrapped an arm around Yao Xinruai's waist. Way too intimate. Li Xiao counted down to snap the final shot. But just as he reached the last second, Zhu Hao suddenly lowered his head. They were already holding each other, and with that slight movement, their lips met. Yao Xinruai's eyes widened. A familiar sensation surged through her. Even though something similar had happened at the Chu family estate, her heart still pounded uncontrollably. With people watching, she felt utterly humiliated. She wanted to break free. But Zhu Hao's grip was too strong. She could only let him do as he pleased. Li Xiao was completely stunned. He hadn't expected Zhu Hao to actually pull this move. He wanted to rush over and rip them apart. To take Zhu Hao's place. That was his sister-in-law. Even his older brother had never touched her. Yet Zhu Hao was kissing her. And what would come next? Click. An invisible blade stabbed deep into Li Xiao's heart. Ding. Li Xiao's mental state has collapsed. Emotion value plus 999. Ding. Yao Xinruai is overwhelmed with shame. Emotion value plus 987. Not bad, Zhu Hao smirked, taking the camera from Li Xiao. He then turned to Yao Xinruai. What do you think, sis-in-law? He held the camera up for her to see. Yao Xinruai's face turned bright red. Her usually cold expression now carried a hint of something else. Something alluring. Was it from anger? Or something else? She forced a nod. Zhu Hao chuckled. He summoned Bei Ling, his hidden bodyguard, and handed her the camera. He wasn't about to leave evidence in the protagonist's hands. Then, without hesitation, he took Yao Xinruai's hand and led her toward the movie theater. Li Xiao stood frozen in place. He couldn't process what had just happened. His sister-in-law had been defiled. Right in front of him. Watching them walk away, his heart twisted in agony. At the theater, Zhu Hao pulled out 2 tickets. Bei Ling had bought them earlier while he and Yao Xinruai were shopping. Not a private booth. A regular hall. His goal wasn't to watch a movie. It was to charm her and farm emotion points. Li Zhao followed them in, quickly asking the staff which screening they were attending. A crime thriller. Li Zhao clenched his jaw. Women hated horror and crime films the most. Zhu Hao definitely had bad intentions. The movie's theme. A woman being threatened, manipulated, and toyed with. Matched perfectly with what Zhu Hao was doing to Yao Xinruai. If she resisted, the consequences would be severe. Li Zhao had to be there. Even though Zhu Hao had already declared that he would spend the night with her. Until the moment it actually happened, Li Zhao refused to accept it. A small part of him still clung to hope. Maybe Zhu Hao would let her go tonight. The film started. It was gruesome and brutal. The audience was sparse, with only a few scattered people in the front rows. The back was nearly empty. Zhu Hao and Yao Xinruai sat in the middle. Yao Xinruai had seen plenty of movies before. But she had always watched them alone. Sitting beside a man like this made her uncomfortable. She kept her head down, terrified of being recognized. Li Zhao slipped into the back, choosing a discreet corner. His eyes were on the screen. But his attention kept darting toward Zhu Hao and Yao Xinruai. At first, Zhu Hao just watched the movie like a normal person. But gradually, the atmosphere shifted. Sitting beside Zhu Hao was torture for Yao Xinruai. She was trapped. She couldn't escape the 5-day agreement. She figured she might as well endure it and get it over with. Determined to ignore Zhu Hao, she focused on the movie. But the film was terrifying. It followed a woman. Threatened, manipulated, and desperate to escape. When she was caught, she was tortured in horrifying ways. It was too real. It felt like looking into a mirror. Fear gripped her. She glanced at Zhu Hao. Only for him to suddenly turn and meet her eyes. Her breath caught. Heart hammering, she tore her gaze away. Brush. She stiffened. Zhu Hao had moved closer. His masculine scent filled her senses. Then, a hand landed on her shoulder. And pulled her into his arms. From the back, Li Zhao's eyes nearly popped out of his head. Damn it. He knew it. Zhu Hao never just watched movies. Of course, he'd make a move on her. Li Zhao couldn't see what they were doing from his angle, but he knew it wasn't good. Then, he noticed something. His sister-in-law's ears had turned red. Buzz. They were doing something. In the theater. Li Zhao felt his blood boil. His vision blurred. His mind buzzed. Over an hour later, the movie ended. Zhu Hao and Yao Xinruai were stuck together the entire time. Outwardly, Zhu Hao looked perfectly proper. But in reality, he had been messing with her the whole time. Yao Xinruai had barely held herself together. As soon as he stopped, she let out a shaky breath and glared at him. But there was no anger in her eyes. Only a soft, intoxicating shimmer. Movie's over, Zhu Hao said smoothly. Time to unveil the final act. With a smirk, he wrapped an arm around Yao Xinruai and led her toward the exit. Li Zhao, sitting behind them, felt like he was about to explode. He couldn't see exactly what Zhu Hao had been doing. But he wasn't an idiot. He could imagine. Watching the woman he adored cuddle up to a scumbag like Zhu Hao made his killing intent surge uncontrollably. Ding. Yao Xinruai is overwhelmed with shame. Emotion value plus 888. Ding. Li Zhao suffers psychological damage. Emotion value plus 999. Stepping out of the theater, Zhu Hao didn't hesitate. He immediately led Yao Xinruai toward a nearby hotel. So it's finally happening. Standing in front of the hotel, Yao Xinruai's heart pounded. She looked up at Zhu Hao, eyes full of hesitation. Zhu Hao smiled at her. You go book the room. Huh? Yao Xinruai was stunned. Did she hear that right? He wanted her to book the room? Since it's our first agreement, I'll respect your opinion. You get to choose the room. Yao Xinruai was dumbfounded. Could he be any more shameless? Respecting her opinion should mean respecting whether she agreed or not. Not just which room she picked. After sending Yao Xinruai away, Zhu Hao waved at Li Zhao, who was glaring at him with resentment from a distance. Reluctantly, Li Zhao walked over. Zhao, you don't have to follow us from here on. But if you want to eavesdrop, I won't stop you. I'm off to tame a fairy. Li Zhao's face darkened like the bottom of a pot, his teeth grinding audibly. Did anyone hear this nonsense? What did he mean by eavesdropping? He was a normal person, okay? He had no such perverted hobbies. Tame a fairy? So, he was flaunting the fact that he was about to sleep with Yao Xinruai. Hatred surged in Li Zhao's heart. How could such a woman be deceived by this scumbag? he couldn't help but feel that the heroine was making a terrible mistake. Oh, right. If your big brother Chu Zhuang asks, you know what to say, right? Zhu Hao looked at him with a smirk. Ding. Li Zhao's mindset is collapsing, emotion value plus 1000. Seeing his expression, Zhu Hao smacked him hard on the head. I'm talking to you. Did you hear me? Why yes. Li Zhao looked up abruptly, his eyes burning with rage. But the moment he met Zhu Hao's gaze, he quickly lowered his head again and spoke in frustration. Do your job well. You did alright today. If you handle things properly, I'll keep my promise. Zhu Hao patted his shoulder and walked into the hotel. Yao Xinruai had already booked a room. They entered the elevator together. Watching them leave, Li Zhao stood frozen, unable to recover from the shock. How familiar this scene was. Last time, Zhu Hao did the same thing with the beautiful landlady. Now, he was doing it again with his sister-in-law. And once again. He knew exactly what Zhu Hao was about to do, but he was powerless to stop it. He was a transmigrator, someone who should have had a sense of superiority. Yet here he was, being completely dominated by a mere local. A bitter taste filled his throat, and suddenly, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Yao Xinruai had booked a presidential suite. As soon as they entered, a massive crystal chandelier came into view. It was the living room, with a bedroom to the side, lavishly decorated. Standing at the entrance, Yao Xinruai hesitated, unsure whether to go in. Zhu Hao glanced back. Sis-in-law, why are you standing there? Come in and enjoy. Yao Xinruai knew there was no escaping tonight. Clenching her teeth, she hardened her heart and stepped inside. She just hoped Zhu Hao would finish quickly. Unfortunately, she was bound to be disappointed. Quick. That word didn't exist in Zhu Hao's dictionary. He walked to the wine cabinet and picked out a bottle of Romani Conti. Opening it, he poured 2 glasses of wine. Handing one to Yao Xinruai, he leaned back into the plush leather sofa, savoring his drink. Yao Xinruai took the glass absent-mindedly. Let's have a toast. Zhu Hao clinked his glass against hers and took a sip. Then, he looked at her with interest. Can you sing, sis-in-law? Yao Xinruai snapped out of her daze, momentarily bewildered. She had braced herself for a storm, and now he was asking this. Though confused, she nodded slightly. After marrying Chu Zhuang in a contract marriage, she hadn't sung since. But back in university, she had some singing experience. You can sing? Perfect. Sing a song for me first. Zhu Hao wasn't in a rush. Yao Xinruai was already in his grasp. There was still plenty of time. A fine delicacy should be savored slowly. Sing a song? Yao Xinruai was puzzled. What was Zhu Hao playing at? She had already prepared herself, and now he wasn't following through? This was a hotel, not a KTV. She was starting to lose patience. There's no microphone here. How do you expect me to sing? Who says there isn't? Zhu Hao sounded confident. Yao Xinruai was completely lost. Then it hit her. She suddenly felt like pulling her hair out. What kind of nonsense was this? She had read plenty of books. Did he really think he could fool her like this? But she had no choice. It was his request, and she had to comply. She took a deep breath and started singing. Just like this, I'm conquered by you. It was a solo performance. Zhu Hao closed his eyes, listening quietly. When the song ended, Yao Xinruai rolled her eyes. She had no idea why he liked this song. Zhu Hao patted her on the shoulder. That was a great first performance. You have talent. I hope you do even better next time. Hey. Yao Xinruai sneered internally. Next time? Fat chance. But then, a sense of unease crept in. They had a 5-day agreement. And today was only the first day. Would Zhu Hao make her sing every time from now on? A chill ran down Yao Xinruai's spine at the thought. Meanwhile, Zhu Hao had already set down his wine glass and turned the key. Attention, experienced drivers. The Drift King of Akina is ready to hit the gas. Ding. Yao Xinruai is feeling anxious. Emotion value plus 321. Ding. Yao Xinruai is utterly shocked. Emotion value plus 654. Ding. Yao Xinruai is overwhelmed. Emotion value plus 987. Thunder rumbled through the hotel. A soft drizzle whispered secrets in the wind. Outside, Li Zhao stood on the street, dazed and lifeless. He hadn't left, despite Zhu Hao's instructions. With a cigarette hanging from his lips, he took deep drags one after another, trying to numb himself. But it was useless. Guilt gnawed at him. He hated how weak he was, how powerless he was to protect his loved ones and the woman he liked. Just imagining what Zhu Hao was doing to his sister-in-law at this moment made his chest tighten, his breath hitch. Ring. 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 His phone rang again. Annoyed, he glanced at the screen and instantly sobered up when he saw the caller ID. Big brother Chuzhuang. A shiver ran through him. Zhu Hao had told him to cover up the truth. He couldn't let Chuzhuang find out. The thought made him even angrier. Damn it. Zhu Hao was out there having the time of his life with his sister-in-law, and yet he had to deal with Big Bro? Why couldn't that bastard just drop dead? Taking a deep breath, he forced himself to calm down and answered the call. Zhao, what's going on? I just called Zenruai, and something felt off. Li Zhao froze. WTF? Was he serious? His mind instantly painted a scene of Chuzhuang calling his wife mid-action. Hiss. Li Zhao sucked in a sharp breath. You noticed something was off? Do you even know what your wife is doing right now? Shock, jealousy, and rage turned inside him. Zhu Hao, you bastard. Could he not have waited until after the call? And now look. He had stirred up suspicion. How the hell was he supposed to explain this? Ding. Li Zhao's mentality is crumbling. Emotion value plus 999. After a brief silence, his mind spun at lightning speed, and he quickly came up with an excuse. When she was coming down the stairs, she accidentally twisted her ankle. I offered to take her to the hospital, but she said it was just a minor sprain and that she'd just apply some medicine at home. I saw she wasn't seriously hurt, so I didn't mention it to you. Chuzhuang let out a breath of relief. Thinking back to when he called Yao Zenruai and heard her breathing unevenly, he realized. She must have been applying medicine. It all made sense now. Li Zhao had saved his life before, and he trusted him completely. For a moment, he had let his mind wander, thinking he had been cuckolded by fate itself. A cuckold is the husband of an adulterous wife, or partner for unmarried companions. The wife of an adulterous husband is a cuckween, but a sprained ankle? That was nothing to worry about. Chapter 108. Where did your sister-in-law go today? What did she do? Chuzhuang still wasn't reassured and started probing into Yao Zenruai's whereabouts. She was at the company all day. Had lunch at the cafeteria, and in the evening. Li Zhao straightened up and delivered a completely fabricated report with a serious face. Deep down, he was speechless. That's it? You bought it just like that? How the hell did you become a billionaire CEO? Was it because of long-term dysfunction that your ability to judge situations has weakened? Li Zhao didn't know if Chuzhuang was just naturally slow or if it was the protagonists or messing with his intelligence. After the call ended, Li Zhao gazed toward the hotel in the distance, scanning each room one by one. Even though he couldn't see anything, he could vividly imagine what was happening inside between Yao Zenruai and Zhu Hao. And it crushed him. One long night dawn broke, and golden hues painted the sky. Li Zhao had never experienced such a torturous night. Saying it felt like an eternity would be an understatement. Worried about his sister-in-law, he never went home. Knowing she was with Zhu Hao made his mind run wild, leaving him sleepless and in agony. Now, his eyes were bloodshot, his hair was a mess, and his whole demeanor screamed exhaustion. But as morning arrived, so did his resolve. He locked his gaze on the hotel entrance, waiting to see Zhu Hao and Yao Zenruai emerge. What he didn't know was that the two of them had only just gone to sleep. He waited the entire morning but saw no sign of them. It wasn't until the afternoon, just as he was about to call, that the two finally appeared. And then, seeing Yao Zenruai's condition, Li Zhao was stunned. Ding. Li Zhao's mentality has exploded. Emotion value plus 888. Ding. Li Zhao is mentally unstable. Emotion value plus 999. Zhu Hao, of course, noticed Li Zhao immediately. He waved him over and asked with mock concern, Zhao, why do you look so drained? Don't tell me you didn't sleep all night? Then, after a pause, he twisted the knife deeper. Zenruai hasn't rested well either. Drive her home so she can get some proper rest. Boom. Li Zhao felt like he had been struck by lightning. What? Yao Zenruai didn't rest well either? The reason was obvious. No wonder she looked a bit worn out. Damn it. How could Zhu Hao be this ruthless? Watching Zhu Hao's smug expression, Li Zhao had the urge to punch him in the face. Rage burned inside him, but so did utter shock. Zhu Hao isn't young anymore, yet. How does he have this kind of stamina? He quickly shook off the thought. What the hell am I even thinking? He must have used some enhancements, right? But now, what about Yao Zenruai? How was she supposed to go to work like this? If someone with a sharp eye noticed, wouldn't it be a disaster? Good thing he had already told Big Bro about the sprained ankle yesterday. Otherwise, if Chuzhuang pieced things together, there would have been no way to explain it. Smack. Zhu Hao patted Li Zhao's shoulder. Don't forget to cover for me. Your big brother trusts you completely, so you should have no problem fooling him. Standing beside them, Yao Zenruai's face turned beet red as she clenched her teeth in anger. How could Zhu Hao say such a thing so shamelessly? An entire night. He was inhuman. No wonder he had made sure she ate a lot at dinner. Now, her most humiliating secret was that her legs felt weak just from walking. And Zhu Hao had told his lackey. Yao Xinru wanted nothing more than to crawl into a hole and disappear. Fortunately, it seemed like Li Zhao had his own weaknesses that Zhu Hao was exploiting, forcing him to cooperate. That made her feel a little better. Just then, she noticed Zhu Hao glancing at her, and her body trembled. Memories of his dominance surged through her mind, sending chills down her spine. A perfect first date. As they prepared to part ways, Zhu Hao reminded her, "This was only our first date. Don't forget our 5-day agreement. I'll be coming for you again." With that, he effortlessly slid into the car driven by Beiling. Yao Xinru stood frozen, her face pale. What had happened last night felt too surreal. But knowing it would happen again filled her with despair. Li Zhao's expression darkened. Judging by Zhu Hao's words, he would have to continue covering for him. Would this never end? If it were him, he would have cherished Yao Xinru. But Zhu Hao? He had no pity for her at all. Ding. Yao Xinru is anxious. Emotion value plus 897. Ding. Li Zhao's mind has collapsed. Emotion value plus 978. Zhu family villa in the courtyard. A long-legged beauty, no. A bunny-like fighter, stood with her legs slightly bent, fists clenched, in a combat stance. Her fiery gaze locked onto Zhu Hao with pure hatred. She was none other than Zufian, the queen. Zhu Hao's expression was serious. Your stance isn't right. Bend your legs more. Lift your hands higher. He was actually teaching his daughter Zufian combat techniques. Her eyes blazed with fury. Liar. Bastard. Scumbag. Why was she so angry at him? It all started this morning. As usual, she had challenged Zhu Hao to a sparring match. But just as she launched a sneak attack at the critical moment, he dodged effortlessly. And at that moment, she realized. She had been completely deceived. Zhu Hao's strength far surpasses hers. Zufian finally realized the truth. Zhu Hao had been holding back all along. Every time they sparred and ended up evenly matched, it was just an act. He had been deceiving her. Day after day, they fought, and she lost every single time. And every time, he found a different way to humiliate and command her. It was despicable. Since the day she returned, she had been challenging Zhu Hao, only to lose over and over again. She had suspected it for a while. So this morning, she set up an ambush. And she finally got her answer. She had no choice but to accept it. Her 2 younger sisters were right. Zhu Hao was far stronger than her. But with this realization, rage surged through her veins. So what if you're stronger? Does that give you the right to lie to me? Looking back at the past few days, she felt like a complete fool. A mere plaything for Zhu Hao's amusement. The thought made her want to die. Right then and there, she decided to leave home and never return. But Zhu Hao blocked her path. You liar. Why are you stopping me? Do you think you can control where I go? Zhu Hao chuckled. I don't care where you go, but you should fulfill your bet first. You wouldn't want your sisters to find out you're a sore loser, would you? Zufian gritted her teeth. She never expected Zhu Hao to be so shameless as to threaten his own daughter. If she refused to honor the bet and Zhu Hao told the others, her 2 younger sisters would mock her for the rest of her life. More importantly, she had always dreamed of becoming a queen, a strong leader like her eldest sister. If she didn't keep her word, how could she earn her subordinates' loyalty? After hesitating for a moment, she reluctantly decided to stay for one more day and leave tomorrow. That's when she put on the bunny girl outfit her younger sister had bought for her. The humiliation. Zufian felt utterly humiliated. The future queen of the Zhu family was wearing such a cute and revealing bunny costume. She wanted to boil her sister alive. Zhu Hui had gone too far. Knowing full well what kind of person she was, Zhu Hui had still bought a whole wardrobe of cute, pure, and obedient style outfits. Every time Zufian lost a bet, she had to wear one. And then, her sister would secretly take pictures and post them in the group chat, making her own faction of sisters lose faith in her. But today was different. Zhu Hao wasn't asking for massages or leg rubs. Instead, he claimed he wanted to teach her combat techniques. Zufian scoffed. You? You spend all day running a company. What combat skills could you possibly have? The only reason he was stronger than her must be because he had taken some kind of miraculous body-enhancing pill. So she refused. But Zhu Hao brought up the bet again. Forced obedience, wearing the bunny girl outfit, obeying his every command. She had no choice. As someone who kept her promises, she had to go along with it. Ding. Zufian is grinding her teeth in frustration. Emotion value plus 963. She had been playing along obediently so far, but then she suddenly attacked. Zhu Hao hadn't expected it. But the moment he sensed the slightest danger, he instinctively unleashed his full strength. And that was it. His secret was out. His daughter had seen his true power. Not that it mattered. Even if this little accident hadn't happened, Zhu Hao had already planned his next move. He had tortured this rebellious fifth daughter long enough. If he pushed too hard, it wouldn't be fun anymore. It was time to switch things up. Combat training. Holding a training whip, Zhu Hao began teaching his daughter, the wannabe queen. Your punches should be fast and decisive. Look at this. What kind of weak hit is that? Right. Just imagine I'm your target. Punch with everything you've got. Fueled by pure fury, Zhu Fian swung her fists with all her strength, imagining she was pummeling Zhu Hao himself. Your power is there, but your technique is wrong. You're not maximizing your force. Zhu Fian frowned. That's not right. Her eldest sister had taught her to fight like this. What technique was he even talking about? Then she froze. Zhu Hao had stepped behind her and grabbed both of her fists. Her mind went blank. Zhu Hao was holding her? This was just like when he taught her sisters painting, calligraphy, and piano. Who said he could teach me like this? Her rage exploded. She struggled to break free and was about to curse him for being shameless. But then she stopped. Zhu Hao guided her fists forward in a punch. The moment she felt the power behind it, Zhu Fian's heart shook. If her previous punches had been 100% of her strength, then the punch she just threw was at least 120%. What was happening? Zhu Fian's expression shifted. She was stunned and confused. Did Zhu Hao actually have some kind of advanced power technique? Forget being angry. She needed to learn. She pushed aside her emotions and let Zhu Hao continue teaching her. Rapid progress as expected, Zhu Fian clearly felt her strength improving. Under Zhu Hao's hands-on guidance, she gradually mastered the technique of exerting force. An hour passed in the blink of an eye. When fully immersed in something, time flies. For Zhu Fian, she didn't even notice the time slipping away. In this 1 hour, she felt fulfilled. She had already learned how to apply Zhu Hao's power techniques on her own. Next, it was time for kicks. Zhu Hao once again stepped in to correct her movements. Though his hands-on teaching made her uncomfortable, she quickly found an excuse to tolerate it. This was part of the made agreement. She was doing this to improve her strength. She just had to endure it. There was no denying it. She was talented. And with the effects of the body refining pill, her progress was even faster. Once she grasped the mechanics of punches and kicks, Zhu Hao taught her an entire set of fist and leg techniques. By the time the afternoon was over, her cultivation level hadn't increased at all. But her combat strength had doubled. At this point, Zhu Fian had to admit the truth. Zhu Hao's close combat skills were insanely powerful. They completely surpassed the techniques her eldest sister had taught her. The trap. As the training session neared its end, Zhu Hao casually remarked, "Fian, you said you were leaving tomorrow? What a shame. I was planning to teach you everything I've learned in my life. But since you're leaving, I won't stop you. Just remember. Once you step out of this house, you can forget about ever getting revenge for the past few days of humiliation." He paused before adding with a sigh, "If it were me, and someone was willing to teach me real combat skills, I'd stick around, learn everything. And then use those very skills to defeat them. Just imagining it feels satisfying, doesn't it?" Zhu Hao knew his fifth daughter was impulsive. A provocation this obvious. There was no way she wouldn't see through it. But there was also no way she wouldn't take the bait. Sure enough, Zhu Fian's eyes flickered. She had personally experienced her improvement. If she left now, who else could teach her combat techniques like this? Her eldest sister was strong, but she didn't have this level of practical combat knowledge. If she left, she would never catch up to Zhu Hao. And getting revenge for the humiliations she had suffered? Impossible. But if she stayed, Zhu Hao had said he would teach her everything. With her talent, she could quickly master it all. And then she could make him pay. The more she thought about it, the more tempting it became. Staying behind, she had to stay. She couldn't let him get away with everything he had done. Regaining her composure, she furrowed her brows and haughtily declared, "Who said I was leaving? I won't go until I make you admit defeat." Zhu Hao's lips curled into an almost imperceptible smile. "As long as you stay, I have plenty of ways to deal with you." The sisters' shock as evening approached. Zhu Shiking and Zhu Huai returned home. The moment they stepped inside, they froze in shock. Their queen-like fifth sister was standing there, wearing a bunny girl outfit, being personally trained in martial arts by Zhu Hao. Just how far had things escalated? The two sisters' faces lit up with delight. Had fifth sister finally accepted dad? They had been working tirelessly to bring her into the family fold, coming up with all sorts of punishments for her, trying to sow discord between her and the eldest sister. If fifth sister finally acknowledged Zhu Hao, they would feel a deep sense of accomplishment. After Zhu Hao finished demonstrating a set of techniques, the two girls rushed over. Fifth sister. You look adorable, little bunny. Now do you see how amazing Dad is? We told you before. You're no match for him. Fifth sister, just give up on this whole queen thing. Fighting all the time is no good. Why not stay home and be with Dad? As the two sisters chattered away, they practically worshipped Zhu Hao. Their excessive praise nearly sent him straight to the heavens. Zhu Fian's resentment flared up again. Who do you think bought this stupid bunny outfit? She immediately grabbed both of them, one in each hand, and taught them a lesson about respecting their elder sister. A few minutes later, the twin sisters glared at her with indignant fury. Zhu Fian smugly tilted her chin up. This is what you get for scheming against me. Just as it seemed like the three sisters were about to start an all-out brawl, Zhu Hao stepped in to break it up. He was about to resume training Zhu Fian when the two sisters clung to his arms from both sides. Dad, don't pay attention to her. She's just a violent brute who bullies us. Teach us instead. Chapter 109. Zhu Fian no longer challenged Zhu Hao to duels every day. After realizing Zhu Hao's true strength, she knew she was no match for him. Challenging him would only lead to humiliation. Of course, she didn't leave the next day either. She decided to stay and improve her skills under Zhu Hao's guidance, only to defeat him later and take revenge. Wishful thinking. Zhu Hao possessed Grandmaster-level close combat skills, assassination techniques, teleportation, and countless other abilities. His power kept stacking with various buffs. Beating him? Impossible. Zhu Hao effortlessly toyed with her like a puppet in his hands. Zhu Fian embarked on an intensive learning journey. Whenever Zhu Hao taught, she listened and learned. The marrow cleansing pill played a crucial role in her progress. Each day, she felt a significant boost in her strength, gradually regaining the confidence that had nearly shattered under Zhu Hao's relentless dominance. The Business Expo. One day, Zhu Hao decided to attend a business expo. His company's new energy vehicles were in rapid development. Previously, the Liu family only dabbled in the market, but recognizing the promising future, they committed to full-scale production. Zhu Hao needed to conduct a market study. The Business Expo was a grand event, drawing numerous companies from all over the city and attracting countless visitors. Businesses gathered to showcase and sell their products, effectively promoting their brands. The expo had been running for several days. Initially, the event saw massive crowds, but as the novelty faded, attendance gradually stabilized. Zhu Hao didn't rush to attend. With his status and influence, he could easily secure business partners without the hassle of networking. The expo took place at the central square of the Magic City. Lin Shuking struggles inside the storefront of Sunny Electronics Co., Ltd. Lin Shuking sat at her desk, frowning. She had already spent more than a day at the expo. Recently, her company had been under heavy pressure from the Chu family. Many longtime business partners cut ties with her, making things extremely difficult. If she could just hold out until her new technology was developed, losing these partners wouldn't matter. Once her advanced battery hit the market, it would shake up the entire industry. The Chu family wouldn't be able to suppress her even if they tried. But for now, her breakthrough technology was still in its final development phase. She needed to sell off her inventory to fund the research. Unfortunately, the Chu family's suppression tactics created major obstacles. Not only did business partners sever ties, but her company's sales channels were also blocked. As a result, her stockpile remained unsold. Without significant funding, she couldn't push her new technology forward. This vicious cycle could lead to the company's downfall. Upon hearing about the Business Expo,